Bada bing, bada boom.
There's a popular restaurant across the street from the House of Ministries. The restaurant is called BAU, and because of its location, you get a lot of important people coming in and out of there on a daily basis. You could be sitting, eating lunch next to one of the most powerful people in the country. Would you even know it? I mean, maybe not, if you don't notice the 5 men that are just seated at different tables in plain clothes that are watching you. November 9th, 2023, you could probably sense that something is going on in that restaurant. It's not a normal movement of activity. Usually when a foreign leader comes into town, there's extensive planning that goes into it. You can't just stop by and say hello. They bring their versions of Secret Service, hundreds of trained personnel. Some of them are in uniform, some of them are hiding in the crowd. Every single hospital in that area is scouted and prepped in advance. The foreign leader's blood is typically kept on hand, as well as antidotes for a whole list of deadly poisons.
Really?
Oh yeah, gifts are screened for weapons, food is tested for poison, safe rooms inside of buildings. Let's say Joe Biden is going to a random target. There will be safe rooms inside of that building that have been fortified by the Secret Service. Bomb squads come in. They make sure that there's no explosive in the area. They do a full sweep. Sometimes they'll even block all the cell service in that area, all the internet access, mobile communications, all shut down for that part of the city for the time that the foreign leader is there. At the BAU restaurant, across the street from the House of Ministries, a couple is caught on CCTV camera walking in for a late dinner. If there was someone standing in the security room, glancing at the CCTV camera screens, they look like any other couple. The wife looks about to be in the early 30s, the husband perhaps a bit older. But if someone were to glance at those security cameras at 1 a.m, they would notice 2 very interesting things about the couple from the CCTV footage. First, they're not an ordinary couple. The man in the security footage is the ex-minister of the National Economy of Kazakhstan. To put it simply, at one point, this man controlled the entire economy of the country. His name is Bishimbayev, and he and his wife Saltanat were supposed to be on a dinner date of sorts. Or at least, that's what it looks like, until you stare a little bit longer at the footage. At 1 a.m, the ex-minister's wife is seen on camera wearing her big black puffer jacket, her pantsuit, and she's standing near one of the building entrances. She's leaning back up against the wall, using the wall to almost support her weight. She looks exhausted. Her purse is just sitting on the ground. Then her husband, the ex-minister, is standing in front of her. They look like they're not even having the same night at all. He looks like he just woke up, had 8 hours of sleep. He's got a full day ahead of him. His posture is upright. He's standing in front of her. His arms, his legs are shoulder length apart. He's holding in one hand a cigarette, and the other one, he's cupping his wife's face. Now, it's very interesting how in tune humans are with body language, because if you were to hear that a couple were standing there, wife leaned up against the wall, the husband is cupping her face, it sounds so loving. But there is something so predatory about the footage. Saltanat, the ex-minister's wife, looks at first that she's kind of leaning into his hand on her cheek, but in reality, she's just trying to look away. She's trying to look outside, but he reaches up his other hand with the lit cigarette and forcibly grabs her face with both of his hands and forces her to look at him. Her face is now in view of the camera, and she looks terrified. Then 6 hours later, at 7:16 a.m., they are still at that restaurant. They've been at this restaurant all night long. Another CCTV camera captures the couple. Saltanat is no longer fully clothed. She is completely nude, but she is wearing the same big black puffer jacket to cover her nudity. The two of them are seen walking through the restaurant. She's walking a few steps behind her husband. She briefly stops in front of one of the mirrors on the wall. It doesn't look like she's trying to check out her makeup and see if she still looks okay. It looks like she's analyzing her face. Then she keeps walking to catch up with her husband, and 2 seconds later, the ex-minister of Kazakhstan grabs his wife by her hair, throws her onto the ground in the hallway, literally chucks her. Her jacket naturally flips open, she's barely covered, she's naked on the cold, dirty floor of this restaurant, and perhaps, maybe for like a brief moment, Everything is calm. There's like a split second of calmness, like a moment of decision, you might even say. He's standing over his wife's limp body on the ground. What is he going to do next? What should he do? The ex-minister lifts his right leg up and kicks his wife very hard. Once, twice, and then another, as hard as he can with his dominant leg. He's kicking her so hard, he's holding onto the table on the side of the restaurant hallway to maintain his own balance. That is how much force is being used.
And this is all on camera.
Yes. His wife Saltanat is on the ground trying to cover her body, but he's aiming and kicking her naked private area. And when he decides he is done, he grabs his wife by her hair, a fistful of hair, yanks her up with so much force that she's forced to stand up, and she's clearly not even capable of controlling her own body at this point from the injuries she likely just received. But he throws her up against the stone wall and slams her up into it, completely unprovoked. And he punches her square in the face with enough force that it likely completely shatters her entire nose. It's so much force that her head slams back and hits the wall behind her. Her whole body slumps forward, and the only thing stopping her from falling back onto the ground is him, her husband, because he's holding her up. The ex-minister of economy of Kazakhstan. He pulls her back up by her hair and punches her once more in the face. After pummeling her in the face, he lets her slump forward and he walks off. He walks maybe a few steps away from his wife, and it's another moment of decision making where he decides that's not enough. And he walks back, grabs his wife by her hair, slams her down onto the ground, not caring that he's harming her, not caring that this is in a restaurant. He throws her onto the ground and starts dragging her through the hallway by her hair. She's on her knees getting dragged. He drags her into a room, a restroom, with no CCTV camera. She is like a rag doll in this footage. She's not even physically capable of defending herself at this point. She is dragged in. This is probably one of the most degrading footage I've seen. Like the way that he is treating her. She's dragged into the restroom, and any and all CCTV footage of her after that is gone. But there is footage of the ex-minister at 3:30 p.m., about 8 hours later. He's still inside the restaurant, and this time he's seen having lunch with a woman.
Wait, hold on. They went to the restaurant at 1 a.m. and then the beating happened at 7 a.m. And then another, how many hours?
8 hours later.
8 hours later. So that's a long time he's been there.
Oh, they're there for like 24 hours.
Okay.
Yes. He's still inside this restaurant and he's having lunch with a woman at 3:30 p.m. A different woman, a new woman, and it almost looks like a date. November 9th, 2023, the ex-minister of Kazakhstan will sit down and share a meal with an influencer while his wife lay dying in a VIP room of the restaurant. His excuse for, why couldn't you call for help? Why didn't you get your wife out of the restaurant? Why didn't you bring her to the hospital? Well, the answer is very simple. Because Vladimir Putin is coming. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Red Crescent Societies of Palestine and Kazakhstan. They provide emergency aid to Palestinians in Gaza, as well as aid during natural disasters such as the massive flooding in northern Kazakhstan. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team of dedicated researchers and translators. We would also like to thank our listeners for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates of these causes. As always, full show notes are available at RottenMangoPodcast.com. We did have a professional Kazakh, Russian, and English translator who lives in Kazakhstan to help assist with the research of this case. We wanted to make sure that we get as much of the language and cultural background to fully grasp this case and do a deep dive on it. But as always, with any and all cases, but especially the international ones, please let us know in the comments if anything has been miscommunicated, mistranslated, or if you have any additional information. A few statements and quotes have been summarized and condensed for time. I do want to give a massive disclaimer, though, that this case involves many mentions of abuse, domestic violence, as well as gender-based violence, and brief mentions of SA. So please watch with your health in mind. But I do think that this is a very, very important case that more people should be talking about, at least in America. I would also like to thank everyone who brought this case to our attention, as well as Saltanat's brother. He took the time out of his schedule in the middle of the draining trial to speak with us over Zoom. We're going to talk more about him in a second, but I'm going to link his Instagram in the description so that you guys can stay updated on the case through him and just show him some support. I do believe that in today's case, awareness is the best form of advocacy, and just to let some of the officials in Kazakhstan know that the whole world is watching, I think could make a difference, a huge difference. So let's go spread this story. Let's make an ex-minister very, very uncomfortable. I would also like to apologize ahead of time if my American English, if it comes through really strongly in some of the Kazakh or Russian pronunciations. I did my best to memorize the proper pronunciations, but I apologize if they're not great. Now, the defendant in today's case, his full name is Kuandyk Bishimbayev, but most of the media outlets in Kazakhstan refer to him as the defendant or the ex-minister, or just by his last name, Bishimbayev. We will refer to him either by the ex-minister or by Bishimbayev. Just know that that's his surname. I will not be showing most or any of the footage from the CCTV cameras on YouTube, but if you want to watch the uncensored footage that was also posted by Saltanat's brother, Aytbek, it will be available in the show notes at rottenmangopodcast.com. Or if you'd like to watch the video version, you can find that on Rotten Mango Video on Spotify. Who do you call when you're in the middle of an emergency? The ex-minister of economy of Kazakhstan, he calls his most trusted advisor. He's freaking out at this point. He's on the phone. My wife, she's not waking up. I tried to wake her up to take a few steps, but she's not getting up. What do I do? Is she okay? She just sleeps and she sleeps and she sleeps. The advisor is calm over the phone. I mean, you kind of have to be when you're the advisor to the ex-minister. Her voice is soothing. It's okay. She'll sleep until the evening, but you can take her to the doctor if you wish. No, I don't want to take her to the doctor. I want you to take a look. Please, we just drank and got into a fight, and I want you to look and make sure she's fine. It is okay. She's going to come to her senses. Do you think that she's conscious, like she's still in there? Yes, your wife is just tired. Her brain is tired, so she's asleep. So she's in her right mind. Yes, she is. She is in herself. She's just very tired. She will sleep until the evening, and then everything will be fine. She will wake up and come to her senses. The ex-minister looks down at his wife's lifeless body in the restaurant. Her entire face is swollen. There's bruises, lacerations, cuts all up and down her body. She doesn't look like she's gonna be fine. But what the hell does a psychic know?
He was calling a psychic?
Yeah.
What?
He doesn't call a doctor, he calls his psychic. Now, there is one picture in Kazakhstan, and it is a picture of the 10 most viewed faces in the entire nation for almost, I want to say, a week or two. They are not even celebrities. These 10 people in this photo, they're not celebrities, they're not politicians, they're just 10 regular civilians. So why is this photo going viral? Why is everybody reposting it, sharing it, sending it all over social media, mainstream media? The photo is everywhere, which is technically illegal. If you post that photo, technically it's illegal. Because the 10 faces are supposed to remain fully anonymous. They are the 10 jurors serving on the jury of one of the most high-profile controversial cases in Kazakhstan history. The photo was released as an insurance policy because the defendant is a rich, powerful person who very likely is trying to buy out the jury.
Wait, so he released the jury's photo because...
No, someone did. To show the world, hey, if you're going to get bought out by this rich politician, we're going to know who you are.
Oh.
The jury, they do not get to live in anonymity. They don't get to walk away with a bag of cash and impede justice without people knowing about it.
Wow. And they're not changing the jury and
No.
they're continuing with... Wow.
Now, the court case in question is very strange at first glance. A powerful ex-minister of the national economy is on trial for murder and torture. The ex-minister's wife is dead. Family members have been accused of pedophilia. There is a psychic who seems to be pulling the strings of very powerful people, perhaps even quietly running the country behind the scenes. And somehow, even Vladimir Putin gets involved. And the court case is all being live streamed right now for millions of people to watch in real time. Have you ever powerlifted 400 pounds before? Okay, probably not because you didn't have smelling salts. Please don't do smelling salts, but it is a common thing that powerlifting communities, but also like the NFL use. Smelling salts are basically just releasing ammonia gas into your nose. If you breathe in ammonia gas, you could die. It's corrosive. It's pretty toxic to humans. And the smell is so strong. The second it hits the inside of your nose, it is the most irritating, uncomfortable, pain-inducing breath that you will take. It's so strong, the ammonia gas, that it goes to the extent of stimulating your fight or flight nervous system, which then it just pumps adrenaline through your entire body. Suddenly, your lungs feel like they are all the way open. There's an increase in blood flow, and it feels like you're gearing up for something, like you're about to go fight someone. I've never tried it, but an NFL player said, it's such a painful smell. It's gonna slap you in the face. It gets you locked, ready, and alert. There's an interesting response that smelling salts get, though. It's a reflexive inhalation response, meaning the scent alone feels like a knife is being shoved up your nose that you instinctively take a big breath in. Which is why smelling salts are also almost like a DIY of getting someone who has fainted back to consciousness. Sometimes people will put a smelling salt under someone who's fainted to try and get them to wake up.
Wait, so is it bad for you? Is it like...
It's definitely not good for you because ammonia gas is toxic to humans, but a lot of people use it. I don't think it's illegal. It's not illegal. I mean, you can watch YouTubers reviewing different smelling salts.
What?
I went down the rabbit hole, yeah. And a few hours before Vladimir Putin is set to arrive at the restaurant, the ex-minister sends his cousin off to buy smelling salts because he needs to wake his wife up and walk out of the restaurant right now. Because this is not a good look. I mean, considering who the ex-minister is in the political world, the Bishimbayev family. I mean, I know recently that there's been so many conversations about new money, old money, okay? But this is even deeper than that. There's something called new power and old power. New power, and this is simplified, is kind of like a celebrity. They tell us to do something, buy something, listen to something, and there's going to be impact. And sometimes it feels like they impact our lives a lot because these are the people that we're invested in. You know, we care about what they do, what they wear, who they date. But there are people who have way more influence over our lives. That's old power. They're the ones that sit in the conference rooms and decide how much interest rates are going to be this quarter, which you think has nothing to do with you, right? But then high interest rates slow down consumer spend. Businesses are less likely to increase wages due to increased borrowing costs, lower profits. Suddenly, your life is changing. Or they're going to decide how much funding goes into which public schools, which honestly is very terrifying to think about because based on statistics and the correlation between funding of public schools and socioeconomic outcome of the students later in life, that means there is a group of powerful people that can almost change the trajectory of an entire high school, alter the course of every student's life based on how they allocate funding. And you wouldn't even know this person. You could walk down the street and walk past someone with that kind of power, old power, and you don't even know how this person is impacting your life, but they are. The Bishimbayev family is old power. Meeting them is much easier than speaking with them. You see them. They're at conferences. They're holding these seminars. They're everywhere. But talking to them, you can't get close to them. You leave a nasty comment for a celebrity, likely nothing happens to you. But you get on the Bishimbayev family's bad side, they will absolutely ruin your life. Your work, your family life, your friends, they will all be forced to turn on you because that is how influential they are in this area. The father of the family, so Bishimbayev Sr., Bishimbayev's dad, is a prominent figure in the academic sector. He's seemingly very close to the former president of Kazakhstan, who is quite literally one of the most powerful people in the entire nation. The family appear to be large property owners. I mean, they own the restaurant that the ex-minister and his wife are in right at this very moment.
Oh, that's why nobody's doing anything?
Yes. But obviously, there's still a few more people that hold a lot more power and influence than the Bishimbayev family. And one of those people would be Vladimir Putin. So right now, if this ammonia, this smelling salt, does not wake up the ex-minister's wife, it's not going to be a good look for the ex-minister. They need to get her up. Putin is coming to the House of Ministries, and his Secret Service are outside the restaurant trying to get in right now because they need to secure the whole block. They want to secure that restaurant because maybe Putin's going to decide to eat there later, maybe not, but he is going to the building right across. So everything is in lockdown, and the ex-minister's wife is laying in one of the VIP rooms. tortured, beaten, and not waking up. So he's trying to use this ammonia gas to wake her up. There's something called the cadence of power. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's usually referred to when you talk about politicians because politicians have a very distinct way of speaking. There's almost a musical element to their speeches. Did you know that some speechwriters for presidents, they will figure out the number of beats they want in the first opening paragraph before they even figure out what they want to say? They care more about the rhythm more than the words. It's very intentional. There are dedicated speechwriters that study and have test subjects where they practice these politician speeches. There's a correlation. If they're talking rapidly in a thumping, it is a fight of us against them and we will win, test subjects stated, they start to feel a little bit looser in their limbs and it quite literally makes them want to get up out of their seat. There's some a little bit of tension building in their bodies. It puts their bodies into action. And then there's a gentle rhythm with very intentional pauses, inflections of certain words. And it's soft, but it's very authoritative. It puts people at ease, but they also feel reassured by what they're saying. They don't feel that this moment of, wait, what did they just say about that statistic? That doesn't sound right. Should I Google it? It is so self-assured. You feel like everything they say is concrete fact. And it's almost mesmerizing. That is how Bishimbayev, the ex-minister, is testifying in court. He is on trial for the murder and torture of his 31-year-old wife, Saltanat Nukenova, and he has requested an open trial with a full jury and participation of media representatives. For the first time in Kazakhstan history, the entire court proceedings will be live streamed on YouTube. And the ex-minister will testify for days.
And he wanted this?
He wanted this. He said he wants everyone to know the truth. His voice is incredibly calm when he takes the stand. There was no motive or intention or purpose for me to commit such a senseless act. I loved Saltanat. If we go through the ex-minister's version of events that night, it is the most impossible of impossible days. But what do we know? We're not ex-ministers of any country. The most impossible day consists of two things, two elements. It involves a self-exit and likely a political setup of some sort. Bishimbayev argues that his wife self-exited that night that they were drinking at the restaurant. But here's the creepy thing. They're drinking at the restaurant, she's wasted, none of his wife's fingerprints are on any of the wine glasses. Which, I mean, come on. That sounds like a setup, doesn't it? Someone wiped her prints. Like, what are the odds of that happening? It seems almost impossible. But like I said, it was an impossible night. Anyway, he says after they got drunk, Saltanat went to the restroom and, quote, by banging her head on the toilet. Then, quote, she tripped, and after that fall, she was already in some sort of condition. Overall, she was very weak, and she was very poorly controlling her muscles. When she tried to get up, she could no longer hold up the muscles of her torso. Bishimbayev said that his wife then laid down, went to sleep, started snoring, and then passed away. A nearly impossible self-exit, but like I said, it was an impossible night.
I thought there's CCTV.
He thought he deleted it.
Oh, this is before. Oh my.
Bishimbayev says in court, in his soft politician's voice, I just want to speak out. I'm faced with these horrific accusations and I just want to tell my story and then you can do whatever you would like with that. Bishimbayev continues, the most heartbreaking part about his wife's unfortunate self-exit, other than the fact that he's being framed for it, is that Bishimbayev claims that that night, the night of his wife's death, his wife confessed something very dark to him, which could be the reason why she did not want to keep living. He said that she admitted to having an affair with a well-known businessman in Kazakhstan, like a Forbes list businessman, very wealthy, but he already has a wife and 4 kids, and the wife is friends with Saltanat. Yeah, Reimbek was his name. Bishimbayev got on the stand to testify that it was quite complicated to hear his wife say such things to him. That night, he said, she said to me, verbatim, I slept with Reimbek, the businessman. Just straight up to his face. But even then, Bishimbayev was trying to comfort her. He said that they were near the exit of one of the doors and he was cupping her face in his hand, but there was just nothing more that he could do. On the stand, Bishimbayev is so convincing. Even he seems at a loss for his wife. I mean, certain moments when he talks about his wife and he's talking real slow as if he's pondering and reminiscing about her. He has such a captivating way of speaking, and the fact that he is one of the youngest politicians that took office and known as the golden boy of his political party, the ruling party of the country. I mean, it only adds to his credibility. And maybe he's right. He is such a powerful person. Maybe it is a setup. And he's saying that some of his wife's last words to him were, I slept with Rainbeck? Right? How heartbreaking is that?
Она вот после этого падения уже в таком каком-то состоянии была, ну, нокдауна или вот немножко вот... В общем, она была слаба, и мышцы она плохо контролировала. Когда она пыталась подняться, она еще раз не удержала мышцы.
April 23rd, 2024, 6 months after his wife's death, Bishimbayev's voice is echoing in the courtroom. Say it, you f***ing bitch. Say, I slept with Rainbeck. There were 12 videos found in Bishimbayev's phone from the night of the murder. The videos are so graphic, they have not been released to the public, but they have been played out in court, and we were able to hear the audios of the videos. You do see Aitbek, which is Saltanat's older brother, watching the videos in court for the first time, and his reaction, he looks gutted. It's stated that in the videos, Saltanat was forced to sit on the toilet, completely nude, except for her black puffer jacket, and in the video, her husband, the ex-minister Bishimbayev, is grabbing her by the hair, forcing her to pay attention to him. He's grabbing her, screaming at her. Her face is so bloody that it's said that it is barely recognizable. Her eyes are so swollen she can barely keep them open. Her knees are pretty much cut open and there's blood all over her. And in the audio, you can hear Bishimbayev's voice, loud, clear, commanding, clearly a politician's voice, while Saltanat's voice is very meek.
Is this part taken after she was dragged into the restroom?
Yes, after he kicked her in the hallway. We don't have much context to the videos, but the audios show Bishimbayev screaming at his wife, Saltanat, to quote, find it, come on, look for it. It appears he is telling her to look for her phone. At one point, it's alleged that she is forced to get down on the ground on hands and knees to search for her phone. She asks, can I use the restroom? I just want to use the restroom. No fucking toilet, look for it, you fucking slut. Then, in another clip, Bishimbayev is screaming, I just want the truth. Did you fuck Rainbeck Batalov? Did you sleep with him? Saltanat sounds exhausted. She responds, yeah. But it sounds like she's just saying yes so that he can stop. But Bishimbayev continues, say the words. I slept with him. Then you hear Saltanat make a noise that indicates that he is harming her, that she is in pain. You didn't sleep with him? Huh? You fucking bitch? Fucking lying? Did you have sex with him? Did you have sex with Rainbeck? Did you sleep with him? Saltanat sounds exhausted. Yes. Were you his mistress? Well, apparently that's what you're calling it. Did you have sex with him? Yes. And again, I just want to clarify, I don't think that these are accurate truths. I think that she's just saying whatever he wants her to say because I mean, you see the footage in the hallway.
Yeah, it seems like he's been doing this for the last 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
Like beating her, braiding her. Yeah.
And then now she's finally like, okay, I'll say whatever you want. Why? No, did you want money? There was no money, no money. Did you sleep with him? In another video, because it's the same sequence of events, but actually throughout the night, at one point he drags her to his car, but they don't end up leaving. But just for conciseness, it's multiple videos taken overnight. In another video, Saltanat is heard saying, I swear on my future children, I didn't. That you never slept with him in your life? In my life. But then we cut to another video and Bishimbayev is grilling her again. Did you sleep with him? Just tell me you slept with him. Say, I slept with him. Did you sleep with Rainbeck? Tell me you slept with him at 21 and 25. Did you sleep with him? Tell me you slept with him. Did you sleep with him? Saltanat sounds beyond exhausted and she just responds again. Yes. Say it. I slept with Rainbeck Batalov. Say it. I slept with Rainbeck Batalov. Say, I married Bishimbayev, who has a photo with Rainbeck because they're friends and I slept with Rainbeck. Look at me and tell me, how was it, huh? Say, I slept with Rainbeck Batalov. Say it. It was him. Say it. Again, I slept with him. Did you fuck him? Did you fuck him? Say, I fucked Rainbeck Batalov. I don't want to talk. I'm cold. I just want to get in the car. Say, I fucked Rainbeck. Was he your lover? Was he? Tell me, did you fuck him? At one point, exhausted, Saltanat tells her husband, go to hell. At this point, it seems like Bishimbayev's wife is having a hard time keeping her head up, and he screams at her, look at me. Did you fuck him, huh? Rainbeck, look at me. Come on, raise your head. Raise it. 12 videos of the ex-minister calling his beaten wife a slut, a whore, and forcing her to admit that she had an affair that never actually happened. To that, the ex-minister responded along the lines of, have you heard of deepfakes? It's basically a deepfake. Someone else, not him, took the videos of his wife in that condition that night, hacked his phone, pulled his voice from audios and videos because, you know, he's a politician. There's a lot of videos of him out there. Deepfaked it into him saying these horrible things to his wife, edited into the videos that were mysteriously taken of his wife the night that she died, and then hacked back into his phone to plant the videos there. But the truth is, he did take those videos. This was not a political setup. Saltanat, his wife, did not cheat on him. She never took her own life. And they found these 12 videos on his phone. They recovered CCTV footage of him beating his wife, kicking her, dragging her by the hair. Bishimbayev, the ex-minister of National Economy of Kazakhstan, had beaten his wife to death in a public restaurant for 8 hours actively, but they were in there for over a day. He waited until she took her very last breath. He continued to eat, meet with other women, text workers, and try to cover up his crime while she laid there dying. And instead of calling for a doctor, calling the emergency services, or calling for help, he called his psychic. But worse than that, according to the autopsy, her murder actually started a month before her death. He had been slowly, physically killing her over the course of 31 days. Saltanat is staring at her brother, Aytbek, and Saltanat's face is incredibly serious. She's got that determined look in her eyes. No, I'm serious. That's what it says. Your birth charts, and I've read the same thing over and over again, and I'm telling you, this is the truth. Saltanat's brother, Aytbek, is about to roll his eyes. It says that your purpose is to help. You're going to provide help and change. You know, that's what it says. Oh yeah, because that absolutely makes sense, Saltanat, considering that I work in IT, helping the world one code at a time, changing the world through software. This is silly. Aytbek is watching his little sister, and she's so busy analyzing his birth charts. And you know, at first he thought this whole birth chart, this whole astrology thing was just bullshit, nonsensical stuff.
She was practicing on me, actually. She started doing astrology one time. So she was practicing on friends, on family members, thinking that that's all like just some kind of a bullshit. But in some time, forecast become true.
But Saltanat was never wrong. She was one of the most booked astrologists in the country at one point, and maybe, I don't know, there's always a first time to be incorrect. That's what he was thinking, because he's in IT. He's not some powerful politician that's going to influence and help change the world. So silly. But Saltanat, she would just shrug at him, and she would say her favorite line, everything in life is already concrete. Birth charts are basically screenshots of the sky when you're born, the locations of the planets, and then based off of their coordinates or where you were born, many believe that it can teach you a lot about yourself, how you perceive your relationships, your ego, your perception of your own self. And Saltanat just had this way of interpreting these birth charts and being able to communicate her findings to people that gave them so much reassurance in their lives. Saltanat was probably the busiest one out of the whole family during pandemic lockdowns. So many people are booking her for consultations. She would lock herself in her room, spend 3 hours prepping for one single consultation. Then she would hop on a social distancing call with a client. She never had a hard stop time. So sometimes the call would just go on and on for hours for one call. And she could memorize these birth charts like nobody's business. If you were her client, one consultation, she knows your birth chart by heart. You see her 2 years later, she's still reciting what she remembers from your birth chart. And the crazy thing is, She really doesn't even need to work. I mean, to a degree she does, but not to the extent that she's working. Like that many hours on one consultation. The Nukenova family, to put it simply, nobody in the family was in dire need of money. They are not politically well connected or powerful or influential in the government arena, which is probably the most important arena in Kazakhstan, but they are very, very well-established business leaders. Saltanat's grandfather was a self-made businessman who went on to have 10 children. And each of the 10 children all end up doing really well for themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say this family knows how to raise kids. I've been wanting to get the new Dyson for the longest time. You know, the one that's been going viral with the LED light that shows you every little piece of dust that you sweep up. It makes cleaning feel that much more satisfying. I just could never justify spending that much money, and now I'm excited because I don't have to. I've been using Rakuten for years, which, if you guys don't know, Rakuten is the shopping platform to save money, and this week they're doing Big Give Week. From May 6th to May 13th, Rakuten users can get 15% cash back in hundreds of stores. That means I can finally get all the stuff that I've wanted from Ulta, Fenty, Dyson without my husband side-eyeing me because he is the gatekeeper of fiscal responsibility in this home. But Rakuten is not just for fashion and beauty. You can actually get cash back on electronics from brands like Canon, which is the type of camera I use. You can get cash back for booking hotels, for buying home appliances. And honestly, there is rarely ever a time that I find something online that I can't get cash back on through Rakuten. Rakuten lets you shop from hundreds of stores, and if you're not already a Rakuten member, joining today for free will give you an additional 10% cashback boost. That's an extra 10% cashback on top of Big Give Week's 15% cashback, which is pretty insane. But this is a limited offer, so you only have 8 days to shop your wish list. So make sure to check it out because Rakuten already has 15 million members that are saving while shopping. If you're not using Rakuten, then you need to get on it. Don't get left behind. Join us. Membership is free, and when you sign up and shop today, you get an extra 10% cashback boost. That's an extra 10% cashback on top of the 15% cashback. You won't see higher cashback rates than these. Go to Rakuten.com or download the Rakuten app. Rakuten. Shoppers get it. One of them, Saltanat's uncle, he does end up kind of becoming a high-ranking government official in his local town. So it's nothing like Bishimbayev and his family, but it's something. And the others, like Saltanat's dad, they're in the business sectors. Saltanat's dad had this presence in trade, freight rails, and road transportation markets. So this whole family of four, Saltanat's parents, Aytbek, which is Saltanat's brother, and Saltanat, they really do not need to work, if you will. But it didn't feel like work to Saltanat. She was so into astrology, even before the astrology girlies, before it's like what it is now. Saltanat was in the 5th grade when she sees this girl reading a book on astrology, and she's like, "Can I borrow that when you're done?" She reads the entire thing in one sitting, and she's so fascinated. I mean, even for the piano, she just had this memory. She's so good with energy. Okay, energy makes it sound very like wishy-washy. Vibes is such a weird word, but for example, she learned how to play the piano, and a lot of times when people learn to play the piano, they remember the exact notes. They're like, okay, these are the keys, this is what this represents, I gotta hit this one next. And it's almost like a repetition. It's a memorization of a series of keys. But she would actually remember the tone. And she would remember, okay, at this part, I feel like it needs to be faster paced. So then she'd play that part faster. And if she played it once, she could basically play it from memory. So the same thing happens with astrology, and I don't think that she thought it was a career at first, because she went to school, and I believe she studied in the UK, went to school, graduated. She likely came home trying to find a job with her degree, and she's just doing this for fun. She would do it for personal people in her lives, and everybody would go tell their friends, you gotta go talk to Saltanat. If you're having problems in life, you talk to Saltanat. I mean, it got to the point where she was basically being booked nonstop, and it just naturally becomes a career. You had to book 2 months in advance to talk to Saltanat. But she did have this one rule. She only accepted women. I believe that she at one point did take male clients, and after a few sessions, she would realize, okay, this person is not actually into astrology. This person just wants to go on a date. One time she straight up shut down one of the men that was trying to do something. She just wanted them out of her life. She said, hey, listen, I'm not going to go on a date with you because I'm a feminist. I mean, this guy seemed like a straight up misogynist, so this is likely going to work. But he comes back responding, oh, you're a feminist?
You say likely would work or wouldn't work?
Likely would work. He would be like, feminism, and then he would just leave.
Oh, you're saying that would have worked. Yeah.
But he comes back responding, you're a feminist? Does that mean you like girls?
Oh my gosh.
Saltanat and her brother, they were rolling over laughing at dinner over this one because what the fork is going on?
There was a time when some guy sent the message to Instagram direct, Saltanat. He was like asking if she would go to the date or something like that stuff. And she said, I'm not going on the dates, I'm a feminist. And he was asking, is that mean that you don't like men and you do like girls? We've been laughing on that story.
So from then on, just female clients it was until she meets Bishimbayev. Saltanat and Bishimbayev's relationship, it all starts with a lie. Bishimbayev comes across Saltanat's Instagram page. Now, there are some reports that this ex-politician, ex-minister, his psychic told him that he was going to marry an astrologer and marry her one day. So that's why he's lurking on Instagram for astrologers in Kazakhstan. But that's not proven. Regardless, he comes across Saltanat's page and immediately, of course, he's interested. I mean, she's stunning. She literally is incredibly beautiful. He signs up for a consultation, gets a professional but firm message back. Saltanat only accepts female clients. He's like, yeah, no, but you must not know, Saltanat. I'm Bishimbayev, the ex-minister. No, thank you. I only accept female clients. Saltanat politely declines his appointment request, and so he starts sending her more messages. They go unread. He tries to track her down. She's not giving him the time of day. She's not interested. So finally, he gets a female friend of his to make up this whole backstory of why she needs a consultation with Saltanat ASAP, because like I said, you got to book 2 months in advance, and Saltanat meets up with her to help, and they start hitting it off, and the client basically tells her near the end, look, I lied. The real reason I'm here is my friend. He's truly an incredible guy. And I promise you, once you get to know him, if you just give him the chance, truly, I think that you guys would be perfect for each other. The guy is Bishimbayev. Now, Saltanat agrees to meet with Bishimbayev, but even he later states that she was incredibly apprehensive, just hesitant about the whole relationship. First of all, Bishimbayev is 12 years older than her, but to be fair, he does look much younger for his age, and I don't say that as a compliment. I'm just stating why she might have been more open to the age gap. And he's incredibly charming. In terms of looks, I mean, she's receiving marriage proposals from very successful businessmen all over Kazakhstan through Instagram. She's beautiful. She slightly resembles Scarlett Johansson when she smiles. I mean, she's just stunning. Bishimbayev is not the most attractive, and he's older. He has 2 previous marriages and 4 kids from those previous marriages. So Saltanat's family and friends are like, okay, yeah, who cares if he's the ex-minister? You're way too good for him. But Saltanat does not care about looks. She does not care about children or previous marriages. She said, he is one of the most intelligent and mentally stimulating men that I have ever met. Or at least, that's how he portrayed himself. Bishimbayev graduated high school at 15, graduated from the reputable Kazakh State Academy for Management, which is one of the top 2 schools in Kazakhstan. Then he went and got his master's from the other top school in Kazakhstan. He even graduated with a master's in business administration from George Washington University in the United States. And his political career, I mean, it's insane. He was the vice minister of industry and trade. Then he was the assistant to the president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan, which is the first president of Kazakhstan, very powerful person.
He was an assistant to the president?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like his right-hand man. And after that, he was appointed Minister of National Economy. I mean, which to give you an idea on paper, that would make him one of the top 10 most powerful people in the entire country.
Wow.
He was actually nicknamed by citizens and politicians of being the golden boy of politics. Which, yeah, on paper, it all makes him a great candidate for marriage and for dating, but Saltanat is more intrigued by the fact that he could teach her things. He liked to talk about economy, politics, like things that she didn't know as much about. And instead of a man who just wants to go on vacation and talk about what she can do for him, he was intellectually stimulating her. And he was super respectful. He kept telling her, I want to meet your grandmother. Saltanat's one of her favorite people on the entire planet is her grandmother. And he told her something along the lines of, I know it. I just know we're going to get married one day, whenever you're ready. But I want to get to know your grandmother first so that she can see what kind of man I am. And then eventually I can ask for her permission. Because for me, getting her blessing is just so important when she means so much to you. Within 2 months of meeting, Bishimbayev proposes to Saltanat. They would get married December 16th, 2022, and they do not officially register their marriage, but they are common law husband and wife. After getting married, Saltanat joked on her social media, the most golden husband, not once regretted saying, yes, I'm ready to roll dough for him from morning till evening. Have you ever heard of the term watershed?
No.
I guess it's kind of like a canon event. It refers to a moment in time, a single event that changes the course of your life forever. Every single person usually has one or two of these moments. Looking back, you see two major events that changes everything. It changes your perspective, direction, priorities. It even solidifies who you are and what you think of the world and yourself. It's a lot. Both Saltanat and Bishimbayev allegedly had very similar watershed moments. And both of them would include car accidents with children. Bishimbayev's watershed moment involved a rumor of him recklessly driving and hitting and killing a young child with his car. It is alleged that his family paid off the victim's parents to keep them quiet. Saltanat's watershed moment involved her getting hit by a reckless driver as a child. It's unclear if Aitbek, Saltanat's older brother, screamed. Like, did he scream when he saw Saltanat laying motionless on the ground? We don't know, but it was one of the most vivid memories of his life, when his baby sister was hit by a car. He was maybe 10, Saltanat is maybe 5, and Saltanat is playing out in the front yard of the house. She's not even playing on the street or anything, just on the grass. Aitbek is near the front window. He looks up, sees a car come out of nowhere, knock tiny little Saltanat over onto the ground, and he's running out. Maybe it was a distracted driver slowly driving down a residential area. I don't know. It's unclear, but thankfully, Saltanat only had a cut above one of her eyes. That was it. Now, side note, the driver was not Bishimbayev, even though they are 12 years apart. The whole family, Saltanat's whole family, they tried to laugh about the incident. Especially later on, they would make fun of Saltanat's tiny little scar above her eye. But Aitbek, her brother, remembers, ever since that moment, something changed. He just always felt nervous. He was always subconsciously looking for his little sister just to make sure that she was okay. Even when she became an adult, he never grew out of it. March 20th, 2023, 8 months before Saltanat's death, Aitbek comes home from work. And usually when he's at work, he doesn't check his phone. So he finally pulls out his phone out of his pocket. He sees a bunch of missed calls and messages from his little sister, Saltanat. He opens them up, and the first thing filling the screen is a picture of his baby sister with 2 black eyes. It's pretty clear. Someone punched her in the face. Like, what are the odds that this was an accident? It doesn't make sense. It clearly looks like multiple purposeful punches to the face to cause these 2 black eyes. It's definitely not some kind of slap. The picture comes with a simple cryptic message from Saltanat. Don't ask anything. I will explain later. Aitbek, he's calling Saltanat nonstop at this point. He's worried. He doesn't know what's going on, what happened, if she's okay, where she is. He checks her Find My iPhone. The whole family shares their locations. She's at her apartment that she shares with Bishimbayev. He starts driving there. He's calling Bishimbayev, the husband, on the way, and he just makes things even more cryptic. Bishimbayev tells Aitbek, come over and we can talk like men.
What?
And I'm sure that drive felt like 5 hours long, where Aitbek is just running through all of these incidents. You know when you have a gut feeling about somebody, but you keep pushing it away because there's no proof that somebody is bad, and you would seem like the crazy person, judgmental, evil person, jealous person if you were to talk about them based off of this gut feeling. But likely now, on this drive, everything is rushing back to Aitbek. All those little gut instinct moments. Aytbek initially called Bishimbayev Stalker Pushkin as a joke. Well, okay, it was a joke at the time. Stalker, because the way he was so aggressively pursuing Saltanat, and Pushkin after Alexander Pushkin, the Russian poet, because Bishimbayev would just send Saltanat these mile-long messages professing his love for her. Like a poet, he would write novels for her. And at the time, it was funny, but it was also kind of bothering Aytbek. He was worried for his little sister, but she would just tell him it's because he's older. That's how older people text. And he's just very serious about finding a wife. You know, he's not like the guys my age that just want to joke around and play around. But there were other smaller things too. Like they're so small that if Aytbek had made a big deal about it to his sister, he would be the weird one. For example, I think it takes a while typically for someone to start copying someone's mannerisms. I mean, I think cadence, maybe you pick up on it a little bit quicker, but Aytbek remembered after a few weeks of dating, he had lunch with Saltanat and Bishimbayev. And Bishimbayev would copy all of Saltanat's mannerisms. Little things, little phrases that she used to say, the way Saltanat would move her hands and like be very expressive when she talks. Bishimbayev was doing that now. But it feels forced. It feels like it was too soon for him to pick up on all these tiny little things that Saltanat did. They'd only been dating for a few weeks. It felt like Bishimbayev was going out of his way to mirror Saltanat.
That is so creepy.
And they do say that if you mirror someone's body language subconsciously, they end up liking you more. There were rumors that Bishimbayev was very difficult to work with, and that's putting it very lightly. The people who worked for him called him a tyrant, aggressive, incredibly volatile to work for. When Aytbek brought it up with Saltanat, she said she already knew about the rumor. She talked about it with Bishimbayev, and he himself told her he was so young. He was under so much pressure from that kind of position. He just wanted to do a good job for Kazakhstan. But now that he's older, he realizes just how wrong that was. Bishimbayev had a way of just explaining all these things in such a believable message. I mean, you don't become a politician without being persuasive. It's your whole job is making people like you. But harder to explain away was Bishimbayev's conviction for bribery in 2017. He was kicked out of office as the ex-minister of national economy because he was caught taking a $2 million bribe. But he confidently told Saltanat and all of her loved ones he was framed. It was a political setup. That's why he received a presidential pardon. He was sentenced to be in jail for 10 years, but he only served 2, and then he was pardoned. Would he have been let out so soon if he were actually guilty? Then, very quickly into dating Bishimbayev, Saltanat quit her job. Saltanat convinced everyone that it was because, you know, she still loves astrology, but she just wants to focus on growing a family. But Aytbek clearly remembers hearing Bishimbayev dismiss astrology as basically a stupid girl's science. Yeah, which is rude, but also he's one to talk because he's got a freaking psychic on speed dial giving him advice on, I don't know, how to run the national economy. But Saltanat would explain that this was because Bishimbayev is just very family-oriented. So they just want to focus on the family unit. I mean, everything Bishimbayev said, it made sense. Everything was always beautifully explained away, except that one incident just a few months ago. He's getting that picture from his little sister March 20th of 2023.
Okay, a year ago?
Yes. Now, January 1st of 2023, so like 3 months before this picture, there was something weird that happened.
And they got married, you say December?
Of 2022. So this is like 4 months into their marriage.
So the photo was sent 4 months after?
Yes.
Wow.
And they only met 2 months prior to that.
Oh
This is like within half a year of meeting Bishimbayev.
And also the restaurant happened...
November. So they were married for less than a year.
Wow.
Now, the entire New Year of 2023 was ruined by a perfume bottle. In Kazakhstan, New Year's is kind of like Christmas, and I'm not sure if there's a religious aspect to it. Obviously, take out all the religious aspects of Christmas. So, for example, I'm not Christian, but my family celebrates Christmas. Everybody comes over. Nobody comes empty-handed. It's very similar in that sense. There's a huge gift exchange, and it's kind of weird to not have a gift for someone at a Christmas party, right? So that's New Year's in Kazakhstan. New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2022. So heading into 2023. This is the same month that they get married. Bishimbayev and Saltanat get married. This is 11 months before Saltanat's death. Saltanat's brother, Aytbek, arrives at their apartment, the newlywed apartment. And it feels like a party. You know, there's kids running around screaming at each other. There's beautifully wrapped gifts piled up on the table. The adults are mingling. Aytbek walks in with his gift in his hand, ready for his baby sister. He's only going to be there for a few hours because he has other plans for the actual New Year countdown. He walks over to his sister, presents his gift, and she seems really anxious. Which is kind of strange because Saltanat typically loves family gatherings. I mean, she's like, I don't want to say she's the life of the party, but she's so full of life. She's an introvert, so she enjoys a lot of time alone. But you would never think she's an introvert because she just has so much energy and excitement, and like it rubs off on you and it's contagious. And this is where she would have that, but she doesn't. She seems so nervous and she keeps glancing at the dining table and she's nervously asking her brother Aytbek if he thinks the table is set okay. It's just very strange. I mean, she's like obsessing over how well she set the table and the dishes, and she seems genuinely stressed out about it. Like it's interfering with her ability to enjoy herself. Her brother is trying to calm her down, like, yes, the table is beautiful. What are you talking about? I mean, it really is strange, but maybe she just wanted to host the best New Year's Eve party since she just got married. This is her first New Year's Eve as a wife. Maybe she's taking it too seriously, putting too much pressure on herself. Then a few hours later, the door to the party opens and in walks Bishimbayev's distant cousin. This cousin is very important. He's there at the day of the murder. We're going to call him Cousin B. Cousin B walks in and he's with his wife, and it's clear that they were uninvited. Everybody is like, what are you doing here? Like, what's going on? He's like, oh, we were on our way to our New Year's Eve plans, but you were on the drive and, you know, we thought we could drop off a cute little gift. Aytbek glances over and Saltanat is clearly panicking because it's kind of perceived as rude to not have a gift prepared for a guest for a New Year's Eve party. That's just the way it works. Everybody's doing a gift exchange.
But he was not invited.
Exactly. But they still brought a gift. And on top of that, this is Bishimbayev's cousin. I'm sure there's this added layer of Saltanat wanting to be generous and welcoming to his side of the family. Like, I would much rather accidentally forget a gift for my cousin than my husband's cousin. Because I'm just closer with my cousin, right? I can explain the situation. Saltanat rushes into her room, comes back out a few minutes later with a carefully, beautifully wrapped gift for Cousin B's wife. She opens it up. It's a perfume bottle. Unopened, of course. And for a second, it seems like the social crisis is averted. Cousin B's wife looks so happy with her new gift. It's so thoughtful. It's so sweet. And Bishimbayev walks over, sees the perfume bottle, and in that split second, his politician face is gone. He's tomato red, and there is literally fire-burning hatred in his eyes because he had gifted Saltanat that perfume, and now she is re-gifting it to his cousin's wife. I will say, regifting is very tricky. I can see how someone would be upset at a regift, but it's a perfume bottle. It's likely not a sentimental gift with a lot of emotional and monetary value, especially for someone as powerful and rich as Bishimbayev. And it's from her husband.
What is he mad about?
He gave that gift to Saltanat. He gave the perfume bottle as a gift to Saltanat, and Saltanat is re-gifting it to his cousin's wife.
Like she's not treasuring the gift from him?
I mean, it's like I can 1,000% see myself doing exactly what Saltanat did in this situation. And I think you would be 1,000% behind my decision. And if you weren't, I think you would just bring it up after the party. Like, hey, I really wanted you to have that. And I was really excited for you to have that. Like I picked it out. But not Bishimbayev. He flips like a switch in the middle of this party. The best way that people have described him is, this is someone else's description, someone who knows him, not me. A monkey with a grenade. Like, you just don't know what they're about to do when they get mad. What? It's very unstable, unpredictable, scary. There's no way to talk reason into them because you would imagine, like a human, it's very easy to talk reason, like, hey, put the grenade down. Mm-hmm. But a monkey, like, you can't really talk to these animals. Like, I'm going to tell Mango to put the grenade down. Like, my dog doesn't know what I'm saying. He starts screaming at Saltanat in front of everyone, the children, his parents, Saltanat's brother. He doesn't care. He's yelling at the top of his lungs at her. What right do you have to give away my gifts? I gave them to you. You're not even thinking about my feelings at all. A few people of Bishimbayev's side, they try to get involved. Come on, it's just perfume. It's not that big of a deal. I'm sure Saltanat just wanted to be polite. Eventually, his parents are trying to tell him, okay, that's enough, Bishimbayev. But he turns on them. His parents, he's screaming at his dad to stay out of it because all his dad ever did is ruin his life and his mom's life.
What?
At one point, he starts yelling at his mom for spending so much time with Saltanat. Apparently, his mom lives in the same apartment building, just 2 floors down. And out of obligation, Saltanat would spend a lot of time taking care of Bishimbayev's mom because she's trying to be a good daughter-in-law. But Bishimbayev did not like that. He just straight up tells his parents to shut the fuck up, essentially. And eventually, the whole thing kind of quiets down. And Aitbek, like I said, he had plans for New Year's and he was just stopping by and he's very hesitant to leave now. And his sister is like, go, it's okay. Like, everything's good now. And he's like, you promised me you're going to call me if something happens and you call me tomorrow when you wake up. She's like, yes, go. It's okay. And as he's walking out, Bishimbayev's mom catches up with him. So this is his little sister's mother-in-law, the wife of a very powerful family. And she just starts profusely apologizing. But something about the way that she's apologizing is making Aitbek feel weird. It's not that she's apologizing that her son is treating Saltanat like that, but she's apologizing that he saw it, that he had to see his sister get yelled at. It's more of sorry you had to see that versus I'm so sorry that my son did that. Like, I'll make sure it never happens again. It wasn't that.
When he gets mad, did you see if it's like his whole face changes? Was it very slow? It's like more mad and more screaming, or is it like instant?
So it's like totally two different people. Yeah. And as far as we talk with Saltanat, the person he presented himself before the marriage was totally different as a person after the marriage. And at that point, during the New Year Eve and so on, yeah, he had this like face, like aggressive face, but there was no physical abuse. So he was like screaming around, but he was far away. And well, eventually that was the first, like red flag. And his mom went to invite me, and she was like hugging me and saying, I'm so sorry. And she was almost crying. And as she is elder son, I felt very uncomfortable because she was feeling that way, kind of because of me, because it was looking like she was feeling bad because I saw it. Not because he did it, he said that, but because I saw it.
The next day, Aitbek calls Saltanat and she tells him Bishimbayev lost his mind the night before. He left after her brother left, and he left maybe like 15 minutes before midnight, so 11:45. And the tradition typically is kids get to open presents on New Year's, like right when the clock hits 0 or midnight. He walked out 15 minutes before. Now, if you're an adult here, what do? The children are already witnessing this weird aggressive tantrum from their dad. The fun atmosphere of New Year's is ruined. The best thing to try and do and lift their spirits is to let them open presents at the time that they were expecting to open presents. But around 12:05, 5 minutes after midnight, 5 minutes after the presents are opened, Bishimbayev walks back into the apartment, sees all the presents are opened, and he flips a table. Literally, he flips the entire dining table with all the glass dishes, the food, the plates, everything that Saltanat had been stressing to make perfect, flipped onto the ground. Ultimately, the whole ordeal felt incredibly alarming, but also very childish, like a little Nepo baby politician throwing a tantrum. At no point did Bishimbayev ever get into Saltanat's face or up close and personal with her. Even the things he was saying things like, why don't you care about how I feel? That was my present that I wanted you to have. Why don't you think about me? I picked it for you. So do you see why Aitbek sees it more as childish than like, oh, he's violent? Because it's very like, me, why don't you care about me?
Oh, you're saying the brother at that point thought
Yes.
he's just a giant baby that would throw a tantrum.
Yes.
Okay.
Because even the words he's saying is like, it's not like, how dare you? Like, it's very like, my feelings, I wanted you to have it from me. Like, it's feels very childish. Even the presents that the kids opened, he was crying. Like, he wasn't crying, he was screaming. Why don't you care about how I feel? I picked them out. I wanted to see them open it. He did think it's a very red flag, and he saw it as a strong, like, okay, I need to keep my eye out on this guy. But he was not connecting it as, he is hitting my sister. Yeah, and he wasn't ever getting in front of Saltanat's face. Like, it wasn't anything like that. But Aitbek decided ever since that day, he was going to keep an eye on Bishimbayev. Likely every few seconds on the drive there, Saltanat's brother, Aytbek, is trying to calm down his own emotions because now, 3 months later, he's gotten that picture of his sister with the 2 black eyes and he was, quote, crazy mad. But he needs to stay focused on his goal, which is to drive over to Bishimbayev and Saltanat's home, bring home Saltanat. That's it. Nothing else matters. Saltanat's brother arrives at Bishimbayev's house and he's staring at Bishimbayev, whose body language is so relaxed. Infuriatingly relaxed. Why is he not freaking out? Where is Saltanat? Bishimbayev just shrugs. I don't know. Aytbek said it was completely mind-blowing at this point. What do you mean you don't know where my sister is? I'm on her Find My iPhone and it's telling me that she's in the apartment, but you're telling me she's not in the apartment, so where is she? What do you mean you don't know? He gets into the apartment, searches the entire place. She's not in there. And the whole time, Bishimbayev is calm, just like, yeah, well, how would I know? And that calmness is making Aytbek even more emotional. His sister is missing. The last thing he saw of her were pictures of her completely bruised face. Why the hell is Bishimbayev, her own husband, so calm? It's driving him mad. Aytbek is searching the entire place. And Bishimbayev, I think even if I knew a stranger was missing, I would have more emotions than him. That is till Saltanat's brother calls Bishimbayev's mom. And he says, your son, your criminal, beat his wife and now she's missing. This is when Bishimbayev is no longer calm. Because there's only 2 things in the world that Bishimbayev cares about. 1, what the public thinks of him. And 2, what his mommy thinks of him.
Wow.
Bishimbayev starts going off on Aytbek. Don't get involved. It's not your business. This is our family. It's our relationship. She's part of my family now. She's no longer yours. Basically saying Saltanat is no longer part of his family because she's now Bishimbayev's wife. It's the very traditional when you get married, the wife becomes the husband's family. He's trying to pull Aytbek out of the apartment, trying to forcibly push him out, yanking his arm. And there was an altercation. The night of March, now it's March 21st, 2023. And it has been described as a tornado. The 2 turn into a tornado in that apartment. They're holding on to each other, throwing each other onto the wall, the ground, breaking glass doors. Saltanat's brother doesn't really remember too much from that fight, except at one point, it just stopped because he wanted to continue looking for his sister. She was somewhere in this building and he was sure of it. He said, I thought she was dying. My sister sends photos like this and now she's nowhere to be found. He starts storming through the entire upscale condo building. He does not care if he's disturbing the residents. He needs to find his baby sister. The whole apartment building is incredibly well made, meaning the whole place is soundproof. The doors are thick and massive. Once you're inside of a unit, you can barely hear what's going on in the hallway. Aytbek already went through Bishimbayev's entire apartment, but he knows that Bishimbayev's mom, like I said, lives 2 floors down. So he's running down the stairs, banging on the door. Nobody's answering. He's jiggling the door handle. He's kicking it until it completely breaks off, and now there's just a hole in the door where the door handle used to be.
Wow.
He's trying to kick open the door and screaming into the circular opening of the door. Finally, it opens, and Aytbek is staring at his little sister. But it's not his little sister. Like, some people you walk around and you're like, wow, that person is so alive. Like, I know it sounds weird to say because technically we're all alive if we're walking around, but some people, they look sleepy, tired, bored. Others, they look like they're over it. She looks like the embodiment of life. That is how people describe Saltanat. Even when she was a kid, oh my God, okay, so she had this bright acid orange jumpsuit that you could not pay her to take off. It was the color of a creamsicle. But the worst part is, it's made out of like the rainproof windbreaker material. So every time she would walk, it would just... And she had these bright orange bangs to match with it. And it doesn't matter if people were making fun of her walking around like a creamsicle, or if her older brother was annoyed at the... or if the whole house knew where she was because of how loud it was. She loved that jumpsuit. She would not take it off. Saltanat's friend said, she's very brave, like very independent, self-sufficient. She always had her own opinion about everything. She was one of those few people that always clearly knew what she wanted and set very firm boundaries, but in a very kind way. Stubborn independence. That's how the Nukenovas raise their children. I mean, you make your own decisions, you do what you choose, but you never forget that you are responsible at the end of the day. Like, every choice you make, every decision you make, that's going to be on you. So growing up, Saltanat was very interested in understanding how to improve the way one experiences life. She read psychology books, attended conferences for self-growth, evolving your character, and a lot of these centers around being independent and knowing what you want. She is described to have this fix-it attitude. You don't like something about your life? fix it. You don't like something about your situation? Fix it. Except now, standing in front of Aibek in this doorway, all of that is gone. I mean, she no longer has this crazy fighter spirit. She seems timid. She's like hugging herself, holding the door open. He did notice that the bruises on her face were now brown, so almost healed, but they're just giant blotches on her face. The picture she sent him earlier that day had been from a week or two ago. But again, none of that matters. She's just staring at him. Her eyes seem empty, and Aibek is ready to walk inside. Come on, pack your things. We're leaving. We're going home. And she just stops him. Please just stay out of it. I'm not leaving with you. I want to figure this out myself. This is my life and my marriage, and I'm committed to it, and it's not perfect, but I can save it. Aibek is staring at her like she's lost her mind. I mean, he probably feels just so angry at what Bishimbayev did to his sister, but also so frustrated that she's not getting it because he shouts, please, he's gonna kill you if you stay. But she just stares at her older brother and her shoulders are slumped. I mean, where is that little girl that refused to take off her orange jumpsuit because she liked it and nobody and nothing else mattered? Saltanat looks up at her brother and just quietly says, I love him. Aibek goes home alone that night. But he does not stop trying, and it practically consumes him. How to get his sister out of there. Yeah, okay, he can drag her out there, right? Kicking, screaming, but then what? He just holds her hostage until she realizes how horrible Bishimbayev is. So now he needs to come up with a plan for his sister. He's looking for apartments to rent for Saltanat. He's looking for therapists who can talk to her and show her that this is not a normal relationship, but she won't see the therapist. She believes she can fix this relationship. But everything has a price. The price that Saltanat had to pay for sending that photo to her brother, because Bishimbayev knows that she sent that photo. Bishimbayev forced his own wife to strip naked and recorded humiliating videos of her for blackmail. Did you know that swans only have one partner their whole life? Swans are incredibly loyal creatures, and that's how Saltanat's parents are described. They're swans. They spent every waking moment and every day with each other, madly in love. This part gets a little complicated, but Kazakhstan was ruled by the USSR, and there was a riot held by Kazakhs to gain control over their country again. Saltanat's dad was one of the people that led a riot. He was thrown in prison for 3 years for basically fighting for what he believes in, and the whole 3 years, Saltanat's mom never, ever thought about leaving him. She was loyal, supportive. She never gave up on him, even when he was like, go live your life. 3 years, you're so young. Saltanat is growing up seeing this like once in a lifetime love. I mean, she knows that it's not just something that happens. Even when times are dark, you have to push through. You got to be there for your partner because that's what's love. You never give up on the person you love. And Saltanat felt like, well, if her parents did that, she can do that with Bishimbayev, even though he does not deserve it. On top of that, Saltanat is incredibly connected to Bishimbayev's 4 kids from the 2 previous marriages. They love Saltanat. They spent a lot of time together, and I don't want to go as far to say that she saw them as her own, but she was a very maternal person. I think there's nothing more impressive than speaking multiple languages. Like, what do you mean you don't need subtitles when you watch a K-drama? I wish I had my life together like that. I'm Korean and I grew up speaking Korean, and I still sometimes use Korean subtitles. But improving language skills as an adult feels like a whole part-time job. I used to try taking courses or even getting tutors, but I don't want to sit down and memorize dry vocabulary lists and grammar rules. It just makes me feel like I'm back in school. That's not how I want to spend my Tuesday night at the end of a long day. That's why I use Rosetta Stone for any language that I'm trying to pick up. Rosetta Stone is the best language learning app that makes learning feel so engaging and intuitive. There are no English translations in the app, so you really have to learn to think in that target language. And the whole process just feels very intuitive. First, you learn words, then phrases, then sentences, and the pacing is just right so you never feel overwhelmed or understimulated. Rosetta Stone was designed for long-term retention in mind. So this isn't just an app that's going to teach you something for a couple of weeks and then you're going to forget it. In fact, you can get lifetime access to Rosetta Stone and all the 25 languages that they offer. That means After you finally start watching K-dramas without subtitles, you can just switch over to a different language with no additional cost. You can choose from Spanish, French, Chinese, Japanese, Dutch, Arabic, and like 20 more languages. I mean, if you're a really fast learner, you could pick up all of them with Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership. And if you use my link, you can get 50% off your purchase. Don't put off learning that language. There is no better time than right now to get started. For a very limited time, our listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. Visit rosettastone.com/rotten. That's 50% off unlimited access to 25 language courses for the rest of your life. Redeem your 50% off at rosettastone.com/rotten today. So there's like a million reasons why Saltanat is staying, and Saltanat does start confiding in her brother though. After the March incident, she does confess that Bishimbayev was constantly controlling, not letting her go anywhere, work, or do anything for herself. He banned her from using Instagram, and there were times where Saltanat did leave Bishimbayev. She left him about 8 times from March 2023 to her death about 8 months later in November 2023. But Bishimbayev always drew her back in. I mean, he knew exactly what to say, how to behave. Aybek would text his sister pleading her. He would text her, think about just yourself for once and answer this. Are you happy? Is he worth it? You can always come and live with me. I will pay for the mortgage if necessary. I can support you, give you all your living expenses. Because again, Bishimbayev forced her to quit working. We will live normally. We need you to be happy and whole. I love him. He can kill you. I can't live without him, I swear. Talk to a psychologist. Show her the photos. I won't be able to live if I get divorced. They will explain to you, Saltanat, that this is not love. This is some kind of mental disorder. Please don't report it to the investigators, please. He broke you. No, you don't know anything. It was my fault from the very beginning. You don't know our relationship history. I will kill him. No matter how much you love him, Saltanat, I will never allow him to treat you like that. He's my husband. He does everything for me and my happiness. Saltanat's brother would get so frustrated with her. He would say, the impact that she had on people. She helped everyone but herself. Side note, divorce does have a negative stigma literally everywhere in this world, Kazakhstan included. But I don't think that Saltanat meant the divorce text as in, I'm not going to be able to live with myself after divorce because of the way people think about me. I think she was convinced by Bishimbayev that she could not live without him and his so-called love. Regardless, Saltanat's parents told her and made it very clear that divorce is welcomed in this situation. I think they, like most other parents around the world, could agree they would rather have a divorced daughter than a dead one. The night before Saltanat's murder, November 8th, 2023, Saltanat was not having a good night. This is not the way that it's supposed to go. She spent a long time getting her makeup ready for the night, not because she cares that much, but because Bishimbayev pays 2 times more attention on her makeup and outfits than she does. And when he notices something, usually the night doesn't end well. She had planned this whole date with her husband, Bishimbayev, and a mutual friend of theirs, Ada. The whole thing was exciting for multiple reasons, mainly because Saltanat's friends barely ever had time with her anymore. At first, all of her friends thought that Bishimbayev was a very demanding husband. Saltanat was expected to cook 5 dinners a week for him, get up early whenever he gets up in the morning to prepare him a breakfast and a coffee. She would have to keep the house. She would have to go to networking events with him. She would have to help him take care of his children, take care of her body so that she looks presentable as a politician's wife. There was a lot that she had to do, or at least that's what they thought initially. But then she slowly starts confiding in them that Bishimbayev was physically abusive. Her friends don't even know what to do. She would tell her friends about what he was doing, but she would also say, please, I don't need you to save me. If you try to, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm trying to make this work. I'm going to heal him. I'm going to bring out the best in him. I just need your support. Bishimbayev would play into Saltanat's feelings. He would tell her all the time that she changed his life. And before her, he was a cold, loveless man. He said, I didn't realize I could be a loving, caring, kind man until I met you. You're the one that brought out everything good in me. All those qualities, I'm changing for the better because of you. Basically stating that he's a broken man, he's a cruel, evil man, but she's thawing out his ice-cold heart. She just needs to be patient because it takes time and he might relapse. Her friend described it as being on an emotional seesaw, is what she sees Saltanat go through. He gives her enough happiness and hope so that she stays, but then it gets violent again. Saltanat told a friend that Bishimbayev loves her, but he only knows how to love maniacally. Friends said that there was this rule that they were not allowed to text or talk to Saltanat first, because even if there were messages not about Bishimbayev or anything weird, if he so much as saw her having a conversation with someone else, it would turn into a full-blown fight. Also, this part is very strange, but it makes sense in such a sick and twisted way. Bishimbayev, almost every single night, would do this thing where he keeps Saltanat up all night long, just talking to her about his life, his work, his theories on, I don't know, philosophy, just yapping away. And if she tries to doze off or wants to go to sleep, he would get violently aggressive. Saltanat would end up severely sleep deprived, but somehow he would get 3 hours of sleep and go to work and function consistently. I have a theory that he was sleeping at work.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
But Saltanat, she would get 3 hours of sleep, and then he would have a whole day of things that he needed her to do. So she's like severely sleep deprived all the time.
Wow. And that's one of the worst type of torture is sleep deprivation.
Like, he just refuses to let her sleep. She mentioned this to her friend. On one occasion, she was trying to get a good night's rest. She was trying to sleep early. He woke her up in the middle of the night and showed her an explicit adult video because he was staying up to watch porn, explicit videos. And he's like, this girl, her face is not in the video, but her body looks just like you. Is this you? Like, it's so unhinged, right? A whole night long fight. And there were so many identifying markers that was not Saltanat. Like, she's like, look at that mole. I don't have that mole. Like, what are you saying? But he's like, this is you. Saltanat had this feeling that if she just had children with Bishimbayev, things would get better for two reasons. Bishimbayev does seem happier when he's around his kids most of the time. Not all the time, but in general, right? And maybe having a kid makes him recenter his life and focus on what's actually important. But also, it would help with his insane jealousy. He was always accusing her of cheating on him, being in love with other men, and this was her way of showing him that she is dedicated. Like, this is her family now. But she couldn't get pregnant. According to some friends who went to the doctor with her, the doctor stated that her body was in survival mode, in a heightened state of high levels of cortisol, high levels of stress all the time. There was no way that she was going to get pregnant. She also was not eating a lot. Even a housekeeper brought it up to Bishimbayev's attention once, like, Saltanat is not hungry, but she needs to eat more. Back on the night of November 8th, 2023, the original plan was Saltanat was going to wear one of those Max Mara pantsuits, because Bishimbayev really liked those. And they were going to go to a Kazakhstan Central Concert Hall in Astana to watch one of Bishimbayev's favorite musicians. Now, they do make it to the concert hall. Saltanat's wearing her Max Mara suit, but she also has tears streaming down her face, and Ada, her mutual friend, is confused on how to even comfort her. Right when they walked into the concert hall, Bishimbayev walks up to a young, strange woman and kisses her on the cheek, right in front of his wife, does not introduce her to Saltanat, and the two, Bishimbayev and this woman, walk off together and disappear for 40 minutes, right in front of Saltanat, doing God knows what.
So they're arriving at the concert hall. She's crying already.
No. She's happy, walks in, and then he walks over to a young woman, kisses her on the cheek, and just walks away with her.
Okay.
And so during that 40 minutes, she starts crying with her friend Ada. I mean, clearly, this is not any sort of innocent situation because Bishimbayev cheated on her constantly, and she knew. She found out. So what is he doing? That's how Bishimbayev decides to start the evening. According to Saltanat's friend that was there, I mean, it was the beginning of the end of the night. Because by the time that Bishimbayev came back, Saltanat is in tears, and Bishimbayev drags her out of the concert hall. It would be the last time Saltanat's friend would see her alive. Saltanat and Bishimbayev arrive at the BAU restaurant after they leave the concert. I guess the plan from Bishimbayev's perspective is to talk things through or just to yell at Saltanat and eat a late dinner. Saltanat, she just wants to leave. She wants to go to her brother's house and stay with Aytbek. She's done with Bishimbayev. Around 12:30 a.m., Saltanat tells her husband that she's called a cab and she's done. She's going to leave. But he follows her outside and won't let her. He brings her back into the building. Later, we see footage of them near the exit door and she's on her phone. He's pressing up against her, trying to grab at her face. He's hovering over her. It feels like he's watching every micro movement. Like, even just watching I can't breathe. The CCTV footage, I mean, at least the ones that show of them, because most of them have been deleted intentionally, it just shows him like hovering. Won't let her away, like out of his sight. Just, it feels suffocating. The CCTV footage, or at least the ones that show them, are deleted from 12:30 a.m. to around 5 to 6 a.m. But a security guard in the building does make note of the couple. He has to stop Bishimbayev from trying to drive home completely drunk. He says that he took Bishimbayev's keys from him and called Bishimbayev's cousin, the one that came to the New Year's Eve party. Yes?
Cousin B.
Cousin B. Now, a few things to note. It is clear that this whole plaza, this whole building, I mean, the whole town, they know who Bishimbayev is. The security guard does not let Bishimbayev drive home because perhaps if something were to happen to Bishimbayev, he would be the one responsible because no one's going to blame Bishimbayev. But he doesn't call Bishimbayev's parents or even the police. He calls Bishimbayev's cousin, Cousin B. Now, Cousin B manages this whole building, and some of the units are owned by the Bishimbayev family. If not, the entirety of the building is owned by them. At around 6:30 a.m., Cousin B wakes up to his phone blowing up. He angrily picks up the phone. It's the security guard from the building. Bishimbayev and his wife just try to leave, but I didn't let them because he was beyond gone. I mean, he's wasted. He's so drunk. He's in no state to operate a vehicle. What? Okay, yeah. I'll be right there. Cousin B hangs up, and he does not be right there. He goes back to sleep. A little while later, he gets another call. This time it's the manager of the BAU restaurant where Bishimbayev and Saltanat are. The restaurant manager is nowhere near as nice as the security guard. They're practically screaming into the phone, Bishimbayev is here again, and his wife, and he's making this whole scene screaming around the place nonstop all night. None of the employees that came during the night shift to do repairs can even get to work right now. So at this point, the restaurant is closed for business, but they can't work. There are employees there trying to fix up things and do some repair work. Nothing. They can't do anything. We're not going to be ready for when the store opens if this keeps happening. Okay, got it. I'll be right there. But he does not be right there. He goes back to sleep. Meanwhile, at the restaurant, it is believed a huge fight has broken out between Bishimbayev and Saltanat. And I don't even know if fight is the right word when it's completely one-sided, but Bishimbayev starts physically assaulting Saltanat, taunting her for the fact that he bought all of the clothes that she was wearing. So remember how from 1 a.m. in the security footage, she is fully dressed in a pantsuit and a black puffer jacket. At 7 a.m., she is completely under her jacket. Well, Saltanat, at this point, after what happened in the concert, after everything in this relationship, she is over it. She is exhausted. She's done with this cheating man, his pettiness, his violence. She can't do it anymore. And he starts being like, I own you. I own everything you wear. I bought that. I own your life. You are me. You have nothing without me. And she just starts taking off her clothes because she's like, then take it. I don't want it anymore. I want to leave and I want to go stay with my brother. I know that some netizens might think that that action is very strange, but I think you really don't know that feeling of whatever. Honestly, I just don't want to do this anymore until you've been in any sort of remotely similar situation.
She's in a position of she just wants to leave.
She just wants to leave.
So whatever he's saying, like, take my clothes so that I can leave.
Yeah, you say you bought it? Okay, have it. I just want to go.
Yeah.
Around 7:17 a.m., so about 20 minutes after the manager calls Cousin B, Bishimbayev is seen on CCTV cameras kicking his wife on the ground of the restaurant. It is mentioned by experts that it seems very deliberate that he was kicking her near her unprotected private parts. Bishimbayev continues the torturous assault by dragging her by the hair into bathroom stall number 1. It is believed that Saltanat was able to, at least briefly, get into the bathroom stall without Bishimbayev and lock herself in there, but he does beat down the door. He breaks down the entire door. He remains in the restroom for about 50 minutes with Saltanat. He is seen coming out of the restroom. He's caught by CCTV cameras.
So this whole time, there's people around.
Restaurant workers. Manager.
He's beating her all night. She's probably crying, screaming into the bathroom door, locking the door, trying to hide, try to shield, try to get out, try to run away. And nobody called the cops. Besides, they just called the cousin twice.
Yes. I think that they felt perhaps even if they called the police, it wouldn't have done anything. I'm not sure why they didn't call the police, honestly. I do think they would lose their jobs. They'd probably never get a new job again after that. And then the police wouldn't do anything and it would just be a mess.
Yeah, I guess.
It's maybe their perspective, but still, it's crazy to know that there are people there. This is not some like warehouse, desolate restaurant with nobody. Yeah. He is seen walking out of the restroom, caught on CCTV cameras, and this time he is shirtless. He grabs a bottle of alcohol from the bar.
Wait, he came out of the restroom shirtless? Bare chest?
Bare chest. He then goes back into the restroom with a bottle of alcohol, where Saltanat is still in the restroom, and he stays there for an additional 70 minutes, where he continues to not only beat her, record her, make these humiliating videos of her, degrade her, but also grab her by the throat to strangle her. At one point, she does lose consciousness, but comes back to, and he continues to beat her further. It is around this time, 9:30 a.m., that Bishimbayev calls his cousin, Cousin B. The same one that already got the security guard call, the manager call, and now he's allegedly very vague on the phone. Bishimbayev just tells his cousin, come to the restaurant and bring some blankets. Cousin B shows up 3 calls and 30 minutes later at around 10 a.m. with 2 duvets. He walks into VIP room number 1, where he sees Saltanat laying on the couch. I mean, the whole place is a mess. There's broken dishes scattered around the room. There's drywall that's just like dusting onto the furniture, and the toilet door in the restroom is broken. Bishimbayev does not even address the state of the room or his wife. He just orders Cousin B, put the blanket on her. Bishimbayev tells his cousin that Saltanat, his wife, is sleeping. That's why he asks for him to bring the duvets, the blankets. He just needs to cover her up, which makes sense if you have no common sense. Cousin B walks up and places the blanket on Saltanat. This is 3 hours after the footage of her being completely beaten in the restaurant hallway. So likely she's bleeding and has dried blood everywhere. But Cousin B acts like suddenly he can't see a single thing. He later tries to argue, well, she was naked. I felt like it would be too rude to stare too closely, so I just walked over and I squinted my eyes while I put the duvet cover on her. But he does hear her snore. He describes it as being pretty loud, strong breathing noises. He thought, okay, snoring, drunk, naked, maybe it makes sense. Which, this part is from Cousin B's perspective. This is what he claims happened, but he is nowhere near as innocent as he tries to make himself appear. Cousin B is like Bishimbayev's handyman. If there is a door, table, piece of furniture broken from Bishimbayev's violence, Cousin B would be called to fix it, and it's very clear he knows what the damage is from. So this whole, I didn't know Saltanat was in pain, she was dead. It's not very believable. At one point, while he's adjusting Saltanat's position on the sofa, because Bishimbayev instructed him to, Cousin B notices 2 things. 1, Saltanat's eye is super swollen and red, but he does not look further around because he said it would be rude. 2, he feels Saltanat grab his hand and squeeze it very tightly. He said it's like she was trying to tell him something, that she needs help, some kind of signal. And it was so strange. At least Cousin B thought it was so strange. So what does he do? He gets up and he walks out of VIP room number 1. 2.5 hours later, a little past noon, November 9th, so this is probably at least 12 hours since the couple have been in the restaurant, Bishimbayev texts Cousin B on WhatsApp, instructing him to delete all the footage from the security systems, all the CCTV footage. He wants it gone, he wants it deleted. 15 minutes later, Bishimbayev even goes all the way down to the security room to check on Cousin B deleting everything. They do manage to delete a lot of the footage, but not all of it. And again, Cousin B has an excuse for this. He says, well, Saltanat was naked, and I thought the 2 of them were just having wild, intimate adult sessions in the restaurant all night and just walking around. So of course Bishimbayev would want those deleted. And of course, as his cousin, I was going to help him.
So that's why he wanted the whole thing to be live streamed?
Yes. Because he thought that they deleted everything and he could convince everybody he had nothing to do with it. And Saltanat was a mentally unstable, cheating wife who took her own life.
And it backfired because the footage was still there. Wow.
Not only the footage from the CCTV footage, but his phone footage. Like, there's so much evidence. And I think that's scary that he has that much confidence. Mm-hmm. Then Bishimbayev asks Cousin B to find Saltanat's phone and drive it around town. He tells Cousin B that Aitbek, Saltanat's brother, has been tracking her phone, and if he sees that she's been at this restaurant for too long, he's going to get suspicious, show up, and make a whole scene about it. This is around 2 p.m., so they've been at this restaurant for like 12 hours. They find Saltanat's phone, and Bishimbayev instructs him, go to the gym across the street, that's the one Saltanat goes to, then go back to the apartment and just like drive around town with the phone.
This is like the type of action you do after someone has been murdered.
Killed, yeah.
This is like 12 o'clock is when he instructed delete security footage. Mm-hmm. So at this point, she's still in the room?
Still in the room. The worst part is we know that she was actively being killed and beaten for 8 hours, but it does appear that she stayed alive for a while after that as well. Basically just slowly dying. Cousin B leaves and Bishimbayev sits there and starts making a series of phone calls. One of them to his most trusted advisor, his psychic. He's complaining and freaking out a bit that his wife is not waking up. The psychic would later say that he sounds freaked out, but clearly he's not that freaked out, because at 3:30 p.m., Bishimbayev is seen on CCTV footage eating a whole full-blown meal in the restaurant with an influencer, while his wife lay dying in a VIP booth nearby.
Who's this influencer?
She's an ethical vegan, according to her blog. She's like a food blogger.
Is it just a woman that he's seeing right now?
That's a whole thing. Okay. This whole lunch date, this whole meeting, if you will, is going to get really crazy. I'm going to tell you about it in a second. So while he's doing that, Cousin B calls a doctor, and Cousin B asks, "Hey doc, can a person sleep for a very long time while they're drunk? There's a woman that drank and is sleeping, but she's not waking up." Doctor's like, "Well, how much did she drink?" "We've been drinking till this morning." "Well, I'm not a drug specialist, but alcohol intoxication is very dangerous. I think that you guys should immediately call an ambulance." Cousin B mentions, "But she's snoring," which it feels like he called already knowing what kind of answers he wanted. And the doctor is like, "Again, I don't think it matters if they're snoring or not. Alcohol intoxication is very dangerous. Call an ambulance." They hang up. He does not call an ambulance. Soon after, the influencer leaves from their little lunch date, which... whole conspiracy, okay? The influencer, the food blogger, whatever you want to call her, would later state that all they did was talk about her potentially promoting BAU, the restaurant that they're eating in, because she's a food blogger, and Bishimbayev's mom basically owns the restaurant. She said that her and Bishimbayev barely knew each other. They met each other at the golf course, and he wanted her to advertise his restaurant for him. But the thing is, she's got like 10,000 followers, which is a lot, don't get me wrong, but you're talking about Bishimbayev here. He is not lacking in influence in the local area. Additionally, two things are very strange about this meeting. One, after the lunch meeting, the blogger messages Bishimbayev, "By the way, you smell like roses." Which I don't know if you just send that to someone that you just met and you're only meeting them for business-related conversations. She will later state that she sent it accidentally and it was meant for somebody else. Some netizens believe that they already had somewhat of a relationship going on and perhaps she was his mistress already or was on her way to be. Then there's this whole conspiracy about the lunch date. Some state that from not too close up, the influencer slightly resembles Saltanat. If you don't have a very good camera, which CCTV cameras are not known for their 4K quality, there were rumors that Bishimbayev requested the blogger to put on some of Saltanat's coat, like her blazer, and walk out of the restaurant to make it appear as if Saltanat walked out on her own alive. Coupled with the fact that her phone is driving around town, it seems like maybe he was hastily putting together, allegedly, according to the conspiracy, hastily putting together a plan to get away with murder. Both conspiracies, that she was his mistress and that she was set up as Saltanat's body double to leave the restaurant alive, are not proven. Regardless, he's having lunch with a woman in VIP room 4 while Saltanat is dead, if not on the brink of dying, in VIP room 1. After the blogger leaves, Bishimbayev and his cousin realize that Saltanat is not awake, and she is not responding to either of them. That is when Cousin B brings in the bottle of smelling salts, the ammonia, instructed by Bishimbayev, and tries to put it under Saltanat's nose to wake her up. And like I said, NFL players, it can knock out an NFL player. It's crazy. It's not working though. They're placing it right under her nose, no reaction. Bishimbayev kind of cares. Like he cares, but he doesn't care. He eventually tells Cousin B, "It's fine. It's all good because my psychic told me that Saltanat is going to wake up. She's just resting her brain." And then he looks down at his phone and he starts texting away. He starts texting another woman. So far, he's contacted his female psychic, had lunch with a female influencer, and then he starts texting an alleged sex worker. Her name is saved as Yulia Super on his phone. And allegedly, she's a worker that's very popular amongst wealthy businessmen, and he messages her around 7:07 p.m. Now, just to clarify, they got there the night of November 8th, and now it is November 9th, 7 p.m. They've been there nearly a full 24 hours. At 7:07 p.m., he messages Yulia, "What's up? Are you free?" Then he texts the psychic to ask if Saltanat is still conscious in her mind, to which the psychic tells him, "Yes, she is." Ding! His phone rings again, and now the influencer has texted him, the one he just had lunch with, texts him, "You smell like roses." Then 10 minutes later, ding! Yulia, the alleged sex worker, texts him, "Yes, I just got my lashes done, but I'm free. What time?" So while his wife lay dying, after he tortured her for almost 10 hours straight, he calls his psychic, eats breakfast with his cousin, eats lunch with his female influencer, then texts an alleged worker to make plans to meet up. And then by the end of the night, he finally calls an ambulance. They would not arrive until 7:55 p.m. on November 9th. So Putin was supposed to come around 6 p.m. All of that got canceled, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it cleared up. They can call ambulance and stuff?
Yeah, because Putin's no longer coming.
Oh, like to a different place.
Yeah, because, I mean, his guards can't even get into the restaurant. They won't open the doors.
Right, okay, I see.
They arrive 8 minutes later, and the 3 paramedics said it was really bad. They walked into the VIP room, and there was a woman laying on the sofa of the VIP room, covered with a blanket. They said that they had never seen somebody that badly bruised in their entire lives. She is covered in bruises, in blood. They tried to resuscitate. One of the paramedics noted while they're drenched in sweat, trying to save Saltanat's life, her husband Bishimbayev and his cousin are in the corner just talking about something. The paramedic even goes as far to ask them to leave the room so that they can have no distractions. But it was too late. Saltanat had no pulse, and in just another angering detail, Saltanat's eyes were wide open and her pupils were dilated. She was pronounced dead at the scene.
So when they came, she has already passed.
And her eyes are open.
Bishimbayev and the cousin did not give a crap.
No, they're like, she's sleeping, she's resting her brain. Initially, Bishimbayev states that his wife fell on the toilet, hit her head, and died. He literally goes on a whole press tour with this fantastical story. She hit her head on the toilet and then went to sleep in the most bizarre self-exit that the world has ever heard of. But none of that makes sense. Saltanat has injuries all over her face and head, practically covering every single inch. She has fresh wounds from that night, but also wounds from 2 weeks ago, 1 month ago, all in various stages of healing. So it's very clear that she was being abused for a prolonged period of time. She also sustained a shattered nose the night of her death. A shattered nose is pretty much as bad as a broken nose can get. Her nose is not broken. The bone is not broken. It's not cricket either. It's completely shattered. Her nose bone has been shattered into dozens of pieces. Her entire face, left ear, behind her ears, chin, eyes, they all had abrasions and bruises. Her chin had an open wound. She had hemorrhages in the soft tissues all over her face. And in a really grim discovery, Saltanat was found to have been suffering from a subdural hematoma, meaning that there was a buildup of blood in her brain. Subdural hematomas can be life-threatening, and you need immediate medical care if you have one. Saltanat's brain bleed happened a month prior to her death. There was just a pool of blood. Her brain was bleeding. A month prior would have been around October 9th, October 10th. October 10th was also the day that Saltanat left a letter for Bishimbayev, and she hoped it would be her last letter. It reads, "I'm leaving for good this time. These days I realize that there are no more feelings. I don't want to save anything anymore, and I can't. You didn't even apologize or do anything about your betrayal." Allegedly, she had come home one night and saw that the bed had eyelashes, lipstick, and makeup on it, their marital bed. And in the toilet bowl, she saw 2 used condoms. The note continues, "You blame me for everything and insist that I see some sort of psychotherapist. You're so blind, I can't stand it anymore. Forgive me, forget me, and just let me go." She writes about how Bishimbayev's mom and his psychic keep whispering in his ear about Saltanat and how he chooses to believe them over her. And she said, "After analyzing our marriage, I realized that everything is going in circles. Prove to me that it wasn't, that you can love me, that you can be faithful, honest, and caring. I will prove to you that I will be a good wife and make you the happiest you can ever be. I don't want to believe articles in these books," because they read books that stated that he's a narcissist. And he openly admitted it. And she said, "I don't want to believe those. I want to believe you. And because I was jealous, because of the blackmail you had, because I was not protected in any way, I kept apologizing. But you decided to get rid of me. But then that didn't work and we got back together. But now I will get rid of you. I will take a walk. I will walk around, look for a replacement for you. And if I don't find you, I'll come back, okay?" Which, that last part has been picked apart by some netizens. It sounds like her repeating something he says often to her. It seems like he always says, "Oh, I can just walk around and find a replacement for you." Because it's just the way it's said is very much like, okay, why don't I do it now? To which Bishimbayev just responds to the emotionally raw letter with, she screwed herself up by reading some articles and books. Saying like she read articles and books and got in her head.
When did he say this?
In court later.
Wow.
But that was around the same time that her brain bleed took place. Bishimbayev was arrested at the restaurant November 9th, 2023. Even his arrest was a controversy. There is body cam footage that was played in court after the arrest, where the officers walk Bishimbayev into the police station, uncuff him almost immediately, let him out back outside, and they're all, him, police officers, smoking cigarettes underneath the moonlight like they're old pals. Then one of the officers tries to sympathize with Bishimbayev. He knows that his wife is brutally killed in the restaurant. He knows that the whole VIP room has been torn up. And he just says, she probably provoked him. She was probably nagging. Aytbek, Saltanat's brother, had just gotten his food delivery. He was sitting down at his dining table and he was taking a few days off work because he had come down with some sort of bug or flu. He can't even make his own dinner. And he sits down and his fork is mid-air when his phone starts buzzing. A mutual friend, and she's screaming, she's nervous, she's like, what's wrong? Is it happening? Is it true? Do you know or not? Where are you? Did this happen? And he's so confused. He's like, you need to calm down and tell me what's going on. She's like, check WhatsApp. He checks WhatsApp, and someone from the police force had leaked information that a couple had gotten into a fight at the BAU restaurant, and one of them has sustained fatal wounds. Aytbek starts calling his sister, no response, so he calls the emergency dispatch. He's calling them and he's telling them about the WhatsApp post, and they already know who he's talking about. They cut him off in the middle of his explanation and they tell him, go to the BAU restaurant, you'll find out more, but we're so sorry for your loss. He goes into complete denial and shock. He tries to reason with himself the whole drive to the restaurant. I mean, first of all, the dispatch center, they don't know the real-time news and updates. They're probably wrong. On his way to the restaurant, their dad calls him, and he just tells his son, Aytbek, in the most serious voice that Aytbek has ever heard, you go get Saltanat, you take her away, and look after her in the hospital. So they think that maybe she's just injured. Aytbek hangs up, and the cab pulls up in front of the restaurant. He basically jumps out while the cab is still pulling up, and he's running inside the restaurant, trying to get up the stairs. The police are screaming after him, like, hey, what are you doing? Who are you? What are you doing? I'm her brother. They told me to come here. They called me. They said my little sister is here. What's going on? The officers suddenly get very quiet, like they don't know how to respond. And instead of explaining to Aytbek in a way that makes sense, they just blurt out, we're so sorry for your loss. And that is how Aytbek finds out that his little sister was killed. But even then, he still doesn't understand. He's screaming, what do you mean? What's happening? Where is she? The cops just keep repeating, I'm so sorry for your loss. Aytbek said that he lost himself for a few minutes there. He sat down and he knew that he needed to make that call. He's got to call his parents and somehow tell them what happened. He calls his dad, and it's kind of like his dad already knew. At one point, Aytbek just hears his mom in the background screaming.
And I just lost myself for a couple of minutes, sat down, and I knew that right now I have to make a call to my parents and somehow tell it to them. I called my dad. As far as I understand, he answered me like on the louder. So when he was asking, so what happened, he was already crying. I said that it's all true, that Saltanat was killed by the defendant. And at that point, I heard like my mom started to scream. That was the night. And then the police officers took me to a precinct, so I put it my paper, or did all the paperwork that is in it. And that's the story. How I found out.
When Aytbek comes back home that night, he just remembers, I have to go to sleep because tomorrow is so busy. I have to go to the morgue and see my sister. I have to call some attorneys and make sure my parents are okay. And it's just going to be a very busy day. But he's laying in bed and he's not falling asleep. He said it feels like the mattress is almost eating him alive. He just keeps sinking deeper and deeper into the mattress, like it's a feeling of falling. And he said, and I quote, the world was just leaving me and I'm just falling apart. Sultanat's brother and her closest girlfriends are standing in Sultanat's old closet in Bishimbayev's apartment. This is right after her death, so I imagine their grief is at the highest peak. They're here to gather all of Sultanat's belongings, and they're all being thrown onto the ground right in front of them by Bishimbayev's sister. You want her shit? Take it. She's throwing each piece of clothing onto the floor. Look at all the things that my brother paid for, bought for your sister, went out of his way to purchase for your sister. She's taking each piece of clothing off the hanger and throwing it on the ground in front of Sultanat's loved ones. The whole day had just been a series of insults. The first was when Bishimbayev's family and his 2 defense attorneys refused to let Sultanat's family and her friends to get in to get her things. Bishimbayev's sister was absolutely vile the entire time. She's screaming at Aybek through the door, "If you come inside, I'm going to plant drugs in here and act like it's Sultanat's." Basically insinuating that she is going to further slander Sultanat's name. Eventually, Sultanat's family called the police. They forced Bishimbayev's family to let them in to get Sultanat's things. At one point, Bishimbayev's mom just keeps complaining over and over. I mean, she's saying that this has been so stressful for her recently and her blood pressure is through the roof, and she keeps saying, my blood pressure, my blood pressure. Aybek was so sick of this, he just turns and he snaps. My parents are in the hospital for a heart condition right now because of what we're going through. Bishimbayev's mom shuts up for a little bit, but Bishimbayev's sister starts screaming at Aybek. So what? So what? Eventually, the group make their way to the kitchen, and now this apartment has been sealed off for weeks. No one was allowed in. Bishimbayev's mom she marches over to the stove, grabs a pot that still has food in it because that's how it was left when Sultanat died and before it was sealed off. It's been there for weeks. It's like boiled meat stew. And because nobody was in the apartment, it is completely spoiled. She grabs the pot of rotted meat, shoves it in Aybek's face, stares at him, and spits. Look at what kind of housekeeper your sister was.
This is so vile. This whole family is so vile.
The scariest part of the encounter, though, is that while they were leaving, Bishimbayev's sister kept screaming, "You will never prove that he killed her. You'll never prove it. You'll never, ever. She did this to herself. She beat herself up and threw her body up against the wall. She did that. You can never prove it." It's very obvious the Bishimbayevs do not have a soul and they are going to fight dirty to try and get away with murder. But Aybek is going to fight. I love every season, but summer nights just hit different. Like, I don't know about the day, but the nighttime is a little bit nicer. There's something about the warmth that makes everything feel so much better. The only bad part about late nights in the summer is late mornings the next day. I always wake up feeling so dehydrated, like a dried up prune, and that is why Liquid IV is a staple in my summer morning routine. Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, and for a reason. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a stick that is so convenient to use. I always keep a few sticks of Liquid IV in my kitchen counter so that I just never forget to make a glass of Liquid IV with breakfast. It is the perfect way to start the day. I feel fresh and hydrated. I even feel like my skin looks better when I remember to take Liquid IV. And it's just so simple to make. You just grab a glass of water, you tear, pour, live more. The Liquid IV sticks are also super convenient to just carry around. Just throw a few in your car. I throw them in all of my bags, especially my travel bags, because when you're traveling, trust me, it just helps counteract the airplane air. But my favorite part about Liquid IV is that it tastes like a summer treat. My summer staple is the raspberry melon or the white peach. I really like the raspberry melon. I recently got on that kick and I feel like the flavor is just made for summer. It's sweet with a hint of tartness, and I have no idea how they make it sugar-free with no artificial sweeteners. Well, actually, I do have an idea. They use a proprietary allulose blend, which has the same texture and sweetness as sugar, but without any of the calories. Liquid IV sticks are also non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ROTTEN at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code ROTTEN at liquidiv.com. Aytbek knew, of course, that there are some things that you can never unsee. The state of his sister's body, learning about exactly, but the most powerful people in the nation, in Kazakhstan. Forget money. I mean, the power of those connections is almost infinite. And of course, they're deploying their financial resources as well. They're buying out journalists. They're trying to buy the media into running the story that they want, running the narrative, paying people to start writing salacious stories about Saltanat that never happened. They're executing a full-blown smear campaign against the victim that Bishimbayev killed. Aytbek, Saltanat's brother, said, "We are facing a really tough enemy, one who is capable, who is smart, and who is financially powerful." One of the first times that Aytbek laughed after his sister passed was when he was reading the news. And it's not a good laugh. In Korean, we have a word called oyopso. It just means so ridiculous that it warrants, you can do nothing but like let out a laugh. It was one of those laughs. Nothing's funny about this, but Aytbek is just laughing because his life feels over already. He lost one of the few people that he cares about. What next? Because plastered all over the news at that point is the allegation that Aytbek tried to essay Bishimbayev's 10-year-old daughter. The word pedophilia is thrown around in every article, but Aytbek feels numb, truly. Like all he can do is laugh. Yeah, okay, Saltanat threw herself up against the wall. She hit her head on the toilet seat. They're going to plant drugs to slander her name. Aytbek did what to a 10-year-old? I mean, there is nothing too dirty, too low for these people. Within, I want to say, not even a few hours, a new social media post about the allegations against Aytbek start going viral. It was made by Nazim. Nazim is Bishimbayev's second wife. Nazim is mother to that 10-year-old. She comes forward on Instagram to discuss the allegations made against Saltanat's brother Aytbek. She stated, "It is clear someone wants to discredit the brother of Saltanat, the murder victim. It is so easy to slander and slander for them. No conscience, no soul, no heart. These false allegations make Saltanat's death 100 times more painful. And now in order to protect even my minor children's honor and dignity, I am forced to defend myself and my daughter publicly. My children have not only lost their stepmother, Saltanat, whom they love dearly, but also their father, Bishimbayev. Some kind of demonic show is going on, and they have already tried to throw me and my daughter into the furnace." Bishimbayev's second wife and the mother of the 10-year-old girl exposed the allegations as being entirely false. And in case, let me just be clear, the allegations made against Aytbek are entirely false, have been debunked even by the 10-year-old's mother. And I know that some Bishimbayev supporters might try to spin this narrative. I don't think he has any supporters. The journalists that he pays might try to spin the narrative that of course the second wife doesn't like Bishimbayev. She divorced him. Of course she's going to go against him. But when they were married, Bishimbayev was on trial for bribery and corruption. Remember that trial? She was his attorney.
What? The wife was the attorney?
She's a public defender. She was his attorney and she went to war for this man in court.
Wow.
Someone who is familiar with both cases said the second wife, Nazim, she fought like a tigress in his previous legal battles for Bishimbayev. Do you think that she would remain silent if someone tried to essay her daughter? But that didn't stop people from Bishimbayev's side for pushing this narrative out. Aytbek said the worst part about the allegations for him, though, honestly was the fact that Bishimbayev was willing to use his own daughter, a minor, in these dirty games that he's playing, using his own daughter like an instrument in the media. It's very unfair to this 10-year-old child who's already going through a lot. Side note, remember that fight between Saltanat's brother and Bishimbayev at the apartment when the brother got the pictures?
Yeah.
This is so telling. But Aytbek said during that fight, he did not see Bishimbayev as aggressive and as powerful as he was in the CCTV footage of the restaurant. Meaning, when he's fighting someone his own size, when he's on equal footing physically, he's not that brave. Nazim, Bishimbayev's second wife, released a text message from her daughter that she shares with Bishimbayev.
The 10-year-old?
Yeah, and the 10-year-old had texted Saltanat April 2024, 5 months after Saltanat's death. And she is still texting Saltanat, her stepmom. And the message reads, "I miss you very much. Dad is a terrible person. It is a terrible and shameful thing to do to beat women. And I love you." Bishimbayev's ex-wife released the message to the public. She also released Saltanat's very first message to her, which I'm sure it's very tricky to be the new wife, new young wife, to reach out to your husband's ex-wife But Saltanat texted Nazim, "Hello Nazim, this is Saltanat. I am grateful to you for the fact that your children treat me so well. I am sincerely impressed by them. They are very kind and well-mannered. I know that that is your achievement, and I treat you with only the utmost respect. If you don't mind, I would love to get to know each other sometime." Nazim, the ex-wife, would make a public statement after Saltanat's death. She said, "Almost 6 months later, after Saltanat has died, my daughter still texts her. Sometimes she will text Saltanat pictures of her food that she's eating, her favorite dessert, and other times she will try to call Saltanat, but there is no answer."
Do the kids know?
They know. Yeah. Nazim, the ex-wife, was the same one, like I said, that defended Bishimbayev during his corruption trial. But now she's defending Bishimbayev's third wife, her children's stepmother. She told the press about her relationship with Bishimbayev. It was horrible. He would steal her phone from her, throw it in the toilet so that she can't contact anyone for help. He would grab the toilet seat. You know how it's kind of bolted on there? He would yank it off, tear it off the toilet, and throw the whole porcelain seat at Nazim. She would have to run away and lock herself in the kitchen. He would pound on the door till it felt like it was going to break down. She didn't even know what he was capable at this point. He had these explosive tendencies. If Nazim did not sew his buttons on his shirt perfectly, he would get violent. If his socks were not washed to be the absolute crisp white socks that he preferred, he would get violent. Nazim never knew when he was going to get violent, what mood he was going to be in. And he was just so toxic. She also mentioned that he kept her sleep deprived. And even while she was his defense attorney during his corruption trial, he was having a full-blown affair. Every day, Nazim said she lived in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and she felt that Saltanat likely had a very similar experience. Except, for some reason, Bishimbayev let Nazim go. Maybe it was for the children. Maybe he was already having too many affairs that he can't even count. Or perhaps for no reason at all. When Nazim requested a divorce, it was somewhat amicable, and the two would remain co-parenting. Nazim was able to get out with her life, but Saltanat would not. Bishimbayev is very interesting in the sense that he just never gives up. I mean, every single allegation is debunked, refuted, but he is still pumping out allegation after allegation against Saltanat's family, alleging that they're getting paid for interviews. They are not. We interviewed Aitbek, Saltanat's brother. There was no monetary exchange in any sort of way. He spoke with us after a long day in court, running off of 2 hours of sleep. He still spoke with us because we wanted to know more about his sister. I asked Aitbek, which accusation has Bishimbayev made that hurt your family the most? Honestly, yeah, I was expecting the pedophilia one. But he responded, all the allegations against us, we are here to face it and answer. We can break the allegations with facts and documents, say this is a lie, show that this is a lie. We can show the truth, we can fight for ourselves. But Saltanat is not here to fight for herself. She's gone. And now they're trying to make my sister's name as dirty as possible. She was an alcoholic, addicted, drug addicted, stuff like this. She was a slut. She was an escort. Bishimbayev would say these words. She was fucking this guy. She was fucking that guy. We're all in the courtroom and he's saying these things.
It was hard to hear, but when he started putting that kind of lies, like, at some point we start laughing, and it became simultaneously. Like my parents behind me, and I was sitting at the desk. And when he said some lie, we've been so much laughing. It was not everyone understood why we laughed, but only because his accusation is so absurd, and we are seeing that he's putting his words in Saltanat's mouth. So he's saying that she said that she did that, while in real, it was on the contrary, his mistakes, his dealings, his words. And that's crazy, but it also hurts.
Bishimbayev has made it his life mission to smear her name through the mud. He alleges that Saltanat had mental health issues that she inherited from her father. He stated it was a, quote, nervous disease passed on by her father. On top of that, he stated that Saltanat was drinking, using drugs to help with her mental health problems, but that only made it worse because she was self-medicating. That's why she was so unhinged. He was just trying to save her. Saltanat's family went to a doctor to show proof that there is no history of mental illness in their family. Bishimbayev also claimed that she was on antipsychotics. That's why she died the night of her death, because that mixed with alcohol was not good. She was never prescribed any antipsychotics, and there were none in her system when she died. Not that it would matter either way. Then the allegation changed to, oh yeah, well, Saltanat was just a raging alcoholic who just binge drink nonstop. She just gets violent when she's drunk. She was dancing on the table and she fell off and hit her head. Yeah, and then she would hit the wall, she would hit the toilet. She was just a messy, messy drunk. The autopsy clearly states the extent of her injuries could not have been caused by a single fall. A number of her injuries could have been caused prior to the day and time of her death as well. Her toxicology screens were clear and her blood alcohol levels were so minimal they could not even suggest impairment. Not that it would matter. Obviously, the autopsy results do not lie, but Bishimbayev does. So he changes his tactic. He's like, forget science. Let's go with gold digging. The narrative starts being spread that Saltanat is just a lazy gold digger who is never happy. She never had enough. She wanted more. But what does she have to be upset about? Bishimbayev buys her jewelry, clothes. They have a personal driver, a housekeeper. She's living the life. She has nothing to worry about. She never worked. He claims all she did was just lay around all day doing nothing. She wouldn't even lift a finger for him. If he requested that she even spend time with him, she would get violent. He said, I never forbade Saltanat from work. She herself retired from work. Groceries would be delivered straight to the front door. We had a personal driver. On average, I gave her about $11,000 a month for spending allowance. To give you some context, the average yearly income of a Kazakhstan citizen is about 9,000 USD. So that's like if someone here were to say, oh, I gave her a monthly allowance of $68,000 a month. Clearly, this is not the type of, quote, information that is going to make the average Kazakhstan citizen relate to Saltanat. But the thing is, it's probably not even true. Bishimbayev conveniently cannot prove that he supported Saltanat financially because it was, quote, all in cash. And Saltanat's friends and family reported that she was always asking to borrow money. It seemed that Bishimbayev would only buy her gifts that he wanted her to be in to make him look good. He wants her to wear expensive clothing because it represents him. She moves in with him, so he's not giving her any financial support. She's just under his control. Additionally, that might be why they never officially registered their marriage. He did not want her to have the legal rights that a wife would have over his assets and income. Bishimbayev also tried to allege that Saltanat only dated married men. She was a homewrecker, and when he found out about it, he confronted her and asked her, why? Why must you live like that? She responded, she needs the money. He claims the truth is bitter. Bishimbayev would not know the truth if it hit him in the face. But sadly, some people ran with this narrative. Some netizens commented, yes, if she hadn't been so eager to marry someone so powerful and just married an average guy, she probably would be alive right now. Then there were allegations that Saltanat was cheating on Bishimbayev and apparently she was pregnant, clearly false, and also very easily disproven with the autopsy that she was not pregnant. I mean, the whole thing is a massive smear campaign against Saltanat. As of right now, he has this whole new story for November 9th. He states that, you know what, my version 1, let's forget about it. Remember how he stated that the Saltanat had self-exited? The words were, quote, by falling and hitting her head on the toilet and then went to sleep? Yeah, version 1, he said that was a lie, okay? Like, that was before I saw the CCTV footage. That was before I found out that you guys still have the CCTV footage. Okay, so anyway, the evidence is there. Obviously, he's beating, punching, dragging, kicking his wife to death. And also the autopsy states that the results of her death were not a self-exit. So now his new version is, I did beat my wife. But the beating was just kind of like a regular married couples fight. He did not beat her with, quote, particular cruelty or intent to kill. He said that he was just fed up with her after 8 hours of mentally unstable wife berating him, nagging him, rubbing the fact that she was cheating into his face. He said all night long she was attacking him.
Говорит мне вслед, я ухожу в сторону, она начала материть меня в спину. Это меня спровоцировало. А вообще в целом вы тоже должны понять, что на протяжении с 9:30 до 3:30 я вот 6 или 7 часов просто слушал. 6,5 часов я вот подвергался такому.
Physically, mentally, emotionally, for 8 hours. So he beat her. But he wasn't trying to beat her to kill her. He states that she had prior injuries and prior health conditions that was the cause of death. And likely his beating did not help, but it was not the cause of her death. Medical examiners found nail marks on her neck that looked like she had been choked, and Bishimbayev had a whole explanation for that. He said that he was just so desperate to find a pulse on his loving wife, so maybe he was searching too hard that his nails had dug into her neck. He said, honestly, it's kind of Saltanat's fault anyway, though, because Saltanat was drunk, she lost her balance and fell several times, and it was quite messy, and as a result, she was hit, indicating in such a flippant way, if his wife is drunk, which she was not, and acting a bit messy, which she was not that it would matter, then of course she must be hit. He continues, she ran into the bathroom stall, closed it from the inside. I start knocking on the door. She's insulting me through the door. She said, this is all your fault. You're the one who brought me to this state. I didn't understand. I was confused. And then, the excitement and aggression started. I knocked on the toilet door first, and then I started punching the door. The door is thick. So I start hitting it with a tripod from nearby. And I get in, and I hit her a few times, but again, with no particular cruelty. And as for why he called a psychic instead of calling for help for his dying wife, he said, yeah, that was a big mistake on my part. He also states about beating his wife to death. It was difficult for me to accept Saltanat's death. However, I do not accept the guilt of brutally killing my wife, Saltanat. You may hate me, curse me, but before God and before you, I am ready to answer. I loved Saltanat. When I struck her, when I hit her, I clearly understood the main thing was not to harm her, not cause any harm, not to hurt any important organs. I had a feeling of some kind of internal restraint, caution in this regard. I was holding myself back. I was on the alert. The only thing I want to say is there was no intent and no particular cruelty. And not all the injuries were caused by him. Bishimbayev said she threw herself at objects with her fists and legs. I've never seen anything like it. I think we can operate under the assumption that anything Bishimbayev says Saltanat did, he did. He's basically putting his actions into Saltanat's words, which are all fake. Okay, all of his toxic, violent behavior, he is now saying on the stand that Saltanat was the one that did that. And we're not dumb. There's one story he shares in court about how Saltanat is incredibly forgetful and always forgets where her car keys are. So one day he tells Saltanat, hey babe, why don't we just find a place for your car keys? One singular place that you always put them so that it'll be very easy and you'll never forget it. He claims she blew up on him, started cursing him out, screaming, don't tell me how to live my life. How dare you? Who are you to me? So we can assume Bishimbayev always loses his car keys and becomes violently aggressive when someone gives him sound advice. Bishimbayev stated that Saltanat had these insane mood swings. She would blow up his phone if he didn't respond. She would demand that he show her every single inch of the room that he was in on the video calls, show her every single face of every person he was around to make sure nobody was hiding behind the couch or something. If he told her he would be home at 8 p.m. and he was pulling it at 8:01 p.m., she would become violently enraged and aggressive. So we can assume from that, Bishimbayev would FaceTime Saltanat and demand to show him who she was with at all times. Side note, he would also have his house staff all spy on Saltanat while he was out of town or gone for work. Now, Bishimbayev says about the CCTV footage of him beating his wife to death in the restaurant. On the video, it's visible that she comes out and shouts at me. I walked away and she starts cursing at me from behind. That provoked me. Overall, you should understand that from 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., I just listened for 6.5 hours. I was subjected to severe psychological violence. I said, Salta, calm down. I was so angry that we had this fight. I started kicking chairs, tables, letting off steam in the VIP lounge. He also stated that at one point Saltanat fell down and he starts kicking her in the thigh and buttocks area. And mind you, like I said, she's nude, but he justifies himself with, I understood that I couldn't and shouldn't hurt any vital organs, and that's why I kicked there. The trial is incredibly difficult for Saltanat's family. They have to sit there and watch the prosecutors mark on a mannequin head where all of Saltanat's injuries, fractures, and wounds are. I mean, it's everywhere. To even just read out the full list of injuries on Saltanat's body, it took the prosecutors 40 full minutes in court. A female police officer just got so frustrated, she even asked Bishimbayev on the trial, why couldn't you just simply have left her alone? Why couldn't you just have left her in the restaurant and gone home peacefully and none of this would have happened? There were so many ridiculous moments in this trial, and it's not even over, it's ongoing. And probably the most infuriating part thus far is Saltanat's brother Aytbek was asked by the court whether or not his little sister, this is by the defense attorney, whether or not Saltanat, his little sister, liked to be dominated or was the dominant one in relationships. At some point, or really a lot of points in the trial, the question seems to be less of, did Bishimbayev commit murder? And for some insane reason, the question is almost, well, did Saltanat deserve to be murdered? At another point, Aytbek, Saltanat's brother, becomes physically ill after seeing and hearing about his sister's cause of death. He runs out of the courtroom to avoid, projectile vomiting in the courtroom, and the judge reprimands him by saying he needs to ask for permission. He can't just leave and go and come and go as he pleases. At one point, I can't believe this is real life, the defense tried to submit pictures of the VIP room from the night of the murder to show that the state of the room is not that bad. The furniture is not that broken. It does not look that crazy. It looks normal. Here, look at this picture. It was discovered very easily that the pictures were taken March 28th, 2024, and not November 9th, 2023. So they just took those pictures like just now. And we're like, here, this is from the night of. When the prosecutors called the defense out on it, the pictures mysteriously went missing from the case files. The defense also filed a petition to let their private forensic pathologist present his findings to the court of what he believed was the true cause of Saltanat's death. But the date of his report, April 2nd, 2024. Saltanat was killed November 9th, 2023. Basically, the defense gave the specialist some papers, and he was like, you're right. He did not cause her death. The court denied the petition, to which Bishimbayev's mommy spoke out in court for the very first time, and she said, if you do not accept our examination here, then I believe the constitutional rights of my son that he must defend himself and provide his arguments for the defense will be infringed upon. Please understand me as a mother. I speak from the bottom of my heart. You have no heart, so moving on. The defense also requests that the prosecutors stop using the word murder when talking about Saltanat's death. And he's so emotionless when he just like makes up these crazy lies. Except there were times he would be smirking and smiling during his testimony.
What?
Yeah. He would smile and laugh. And later his attorney had to, quote, explain his behavior by stating, I want to explain why my client is smiling. When he remembers the happy memories with Saltanat, he smiles. And Bishimbayev and his attorneys are not ashamed to play dirty at all in this trial. April 8th, 2024, they presented a note to the court. They alleged that it was written by Saltanat. They're like, Saltanat wrote this, okay? So 6 months before she was killed, she wrote this note. And this is very fascinating, very believable, okay? The note was written by Saltanat, but it was not found in Saltanat's notebook. It was not found in Saltanat's house. It was found in Bishimbayev's mom's house, in Bishimbayev's mom's notebook. And it conveniently reads, I, Saltanat Nukenova. Because who doesn't start every letter like that? I, Saltanat Nukenova, I promise to restore my faith in Bishimbayev. I promise I will trust him. I will not be jealous. I promise to regularly visit a psychologist and work on myself, work on my trust. I will be sincere, obedient, and respect Bishimbayev. I swear I will trust his opinion and believe that he wishes me the best. The letter was so unbelievable, the prosecutor even remarked, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this trial we have a statement from Saltanat herself to the court that the toilet is to blame for everything. Even the judge addressed the court and stated, it is the first time I have ever seen a wife give her husband such a promise and written commitment. AKA, I don't think this is real. The judge refused to enter the note into the case file as evidence. The psychic that he called the day of the murder was also called in to testify. And it's just so strange because the psychic told Bishimbayev that Saltanat was okay. Yeah. But she's in a different town and she never even saw Saltanat. Not saying it's her fault, but I thought you're a psychic, right? That's kind of how the court is approaching this. They ask her, well, how did you know she was fine? She responds, well, when he asked about her, I kind of entered into her. I can't explain these situations and these sensations, but I entered into her state. And what I felt, I said. She was asked, do you have superpowers? Well, a little. I mean, not so much. Every person has this ability. That was pretty much it. Restaurant employees also testified. They said Bishimbayev was just a terrible person to be around in general. Even before November 9th, he would walk into the restaurant. They were instructed never look him in the eye. Oh yeah. He would just lash out at you for no reason at all. They reported hearing banging from the VIP room and screaming for help, to which the defense, Bishimbayev's attorney, said the employee that reported hearing the banging, well, he works with guns, like staple guns for construction. So he could have misheard. The food blogger that met with Bishimbayev the day of the murder was called to testify. She was asked, did you know Bishimbayev was married? We didn't know each other that well. You were together for 1.5 hours having lunch. What were you talking about? Why do people who don't know each other that well meet up for lunch? We just talked about everything. Did you smell alcohol on Bishimbayev? He was normal. I wasn't sniffing. Saltanat's assistant.
I thought you say you smell like Rose.
That was an accident, she would later claim. Yeah, her whole thing is very suspicious as well. Saltanat's assistant testified and confirmed Bishimbayev was constantly violent. She said the first time she saw the marks were July 5th, 2023, 4 months before Saltanat was killed. Saltanat was covered entirely in bruises. She could also see red markings around her neck, and she demanded to know what it was, and Saltanat responded that he tried to strangle her with a rope. One of Saltanat's friends presented a text message to the court during her testimony, and it's from Saltanat. It reads, "I feel sorry for Bishimbayev. He's really injured and sick, and I kind of tried to help him, but I think I'm ruining myself." And the terrifying part of this is that one of the only reasons Bishimbayev is even on trial right now is because the Nukenova family has been successful in raising awareness and demanding a fair and open trial. December 2023, a year after Saltanat and Bishimbayev were married, a month after her death, Saltanat's dad wrote an emotional letter to the president of the country. So this is the president right after the one that Bishimbayev was the assistant for. He was begging the president to not let his daughter's murderer, a high-ranking official with money and connections, escape justice. Meanwhile, Saltanat's brother Aytbek launched a social media campaign, and it's likely that the public attention really helped get this case to trial. The trial started March 27th, 2024. Bishimbayev was charged with murder and torture. He is facing 20 years to life. Cousin B was charged with concealment of a crime and faces up to 6 years in prison. But again, is there really a fair shot at justice? There's a rumor going around at the detention center. That's where Bishimbayev and his cousin are being held. That once the lights go out, Bishimbayev and cousin B are allowed to roam around out of their cells. Meanwhile, Saltanat's family is completely shattered. Saltanat's dad was hospitalized pretty early on during the trial. His body could not take on the stress. Saltanat's mom had to sit there and listen to Bishimbayev had the mic for hours, just slandering her daughter. At one point, she gets up from the second row and she starts screaming. And she doesn't even sound angry. She sounds so exhausted. Like, her voice is agonizing. To some extent, it almost sounds like she knows nothing she says is going to matter. Bishimbayev is not listening. She screams, "I haven't seen my daughter. I didn't get to bury her. I haven't seen my daughter. How can you say that you beat her without particular cruelty? How can you say such a thing? You were killing her for several hours. 8 hours you were killing her." Usually the courts are pretty strict on not allowing any sort of outburst in court, but it seems like everyone had a slower reaction that day, and they let Saltanat's mother finish most of what she had to say. The whole time, Bishimbayev does not even look at her. He's just sitting there. At one point, he side glances at her and squints his eyes like, wow. It's almost like he's watching a stranger at a grocery store throw an unwarranted tantrum that he's too classy to even look at. And then he turns away and just stares at the ground.
Я свою дочь не видела, не похоронила, я лицо ее не видела. Какой без особой жестокости ты ее бил? Как ты можешь такое говорить? Ты убивал ее несколько
Так, пожалуйста,
часов.
пройдите в другое помещение, прошу вас.
As of filming this video, the trial has continued on, and it's pretty unclear when the jury will deliberate. Aytbek, Saltanat's brother, said the biggest thing that Bishimbayev cares about right now is the public's opinion of him. Now, I would never suggest anybody leave any sort of hateful comment anywhere. I don't think that's appropriate. But I do think it would be very nice if we all went over to the live stream trial and commented our honest opinions of Bishimbayev. Also because just to show that everybody's watching this, that everybody cares, and everyone is going to hold every single person in that room accountable if justice is not served. Bishimbayev will be remembered as a Nepo baby, lying killer, while Saltanat's legacy is, well, there's so many things, but one of them is a monumental law that was passed, appropriately named Saltanat's Law. Signed by the president of Kazakhstan in April of 2024, it strengthens protections for women, increases punishments for assault, child abuse, and essay for minors, as well as bullying. This is a huge deal, considering in 2017, Kazakhstan had previously decriminalized beatings and minor physical damage assaults. And a lot of that mainly impacted domestic violence, meaning you could assault your partner and just get a small fine or a weekend in jail.
What?
Saltanat's law reverses that and increases penalties and charges for offenders. Bishimbayev is facing 20 years to life in prison, which honestly, I don't know if that matters because last time he was sentenced to 10 years and let out in 2. And the most infuriating part is that had Bishimbayev been forced to serve his full sentence, he likely would have never met Saltanat. I asked Saltanat's brother if Saltanat was watching over him right now, what he thought she would say to him. And I don't know if the question was too much. I told him he could skip it, but immediately his eyes went up as if he was seeing Saltanat. And he said, I just hope that she would say I'm doing the right thing in terms of justice, in terms of, I believe she would tell me that I'm doing good. Yeah, I hope so.
I don't know how to answer this. I hope that she would say that I'm doing the right thing in terms of the justice, in terms of I believe she would told me that I'm doing good. I hope so.
I feel like through this case, Aytbek has almost turned into an older brother figure, not just for Saltanat, but for a lot of women in Kazakhstan. And I think Saltanat would be very proud of him. And also smiling about his birth charts because she was right. I'm going to link his social media down in the description and in the comments so you guys can get the latest updates from him, but also to show support. There were a few scammers trying to use Saltanat's name to get donations, but as of right now, there are currently no fundraising campaigns or donation systems set up for Saltanat's case. But if that changes, you're going to find out through Aytbek. I also asked him what we can do to help. If there's anything, just one thing that we can do. And he said, when everything first happened, a lot of people messaged me asking me how they can help. And there's almost nothing that people can do to change the fact that it already happened. But a lot of women reached out to me saying that they need help. They are telling me that they understand Saltanat and they're living her life right now, so their lives are in jeopardy. They are in abusive relationships. Aytbek has already set up a foundation. I believe it's like a system where if someone is being abused by their partner, they can message a group of people that can pick them up and take them away safely. So they're working on building a structure to help women in these types of relationships. But he said if there is one thing that we can do here in America is be more kind to each other. Provide help to those in need. That will be the best way to respect Saltanat and the things she did in her life and the sacrifices she made. But I do think that there is one other thing we can do. I think we can keep an eye out on this case. And if Saltanat does not get justice, I think we can raise hell. But that is it for today's episode. What are your thoughts on this case? And please stay safe. Go follow Aytbek on Instagram. Let's stay updated on this and let's talk about this case. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Please be safe. Bye.